Welcome everybody to the ERCL Duos Finals. We finally made it here. We had a long road to get here. 162 players initially entered this competition, and we've narrowed it down to just 18. That means we've had 3 separate sets of group matches. We had a qualifier stage, a semifinals, and now we're here today with the finals. I am joined today by my good friend Tomsorcer. Tom, how are you doing today, buddy? Tom, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hey, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. So we are here with the finals. Unfortunately, though, before we get into too much more, we are having a bit of a player issue as one of our players' power has gone out. So we're going to be waiting for them to get another PC. They're currently trying to drive to someone else's house where they can play. But while we're waiting for that, we're going to go over the group that we're going to be seeing today, and then we'll hopefully be able to get into the action by then. So Tom, we currently have a solid set of players. Would you like to start us off with going over all the teams who have made it today into the finals?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, coming from the previous groups, we do have a fan favorite here with VOD and Proster apparently squeezing out in their own group. If you guys recall from last week, they, I believe, were 3rd place, probably like a single kill away from just not qualifying from the opposing team. I don't remember exactly who, but I remember they barely edged it out.
It was so close. I mean, it was literally like 1 kill stolen away from like another team that would have qualified just barely with really good gameplay, but just barely did not make it. So yeah, VOD and Proster, they just barely got in there.
Yeah, and then of course we have, you know, the rank 1 Cathy that the first person hit Immortal on and in the Souls ladder. We have Roy and his partner Tony. They quite literally, I don't feel like they had a composition. They just bought in their characters that they're insane at, and they just turned it into a duos comp and they called it there. So they're bringing their Cathy and Yuki. I don't think we're going to be seeing much of a swap up from these guys because their performance last time was really dominant. We saw the power that was just Yuki stunning and Cathy going in cleaning house the entire time. Let's see, we have tier 98 and Time Master. I don't remember what the competition was exactly. I feel like we had a Lennox. And the Amp Dial-In, right?
Lennox Dial-In, yeah. One of the spiciest comps we saw the entire like qualifier to semi-phase. They had incredibly efficient routing. They were making it to like, I think it was like Pond or something, like halfway through night 1 with everything done on both characters consistently. These guys have really efficient routing, and I'm really excited to see what they're going to be bringing in the rest of this finals. They had some stuff prepared, but I don't know if they're really going to end up pivoting off of it, but I'd be curious to see what they've got.
Yeah, I'm really curious because we saw in game 1 of their bracket, they actually went for the like typical crit dial-in, and that failed miserably. Like, no offense to these guys, but the comp did not work out. They swapped back into the amp dial-in, and we saw it time and time again. It was chain CC after chain CC. It was the silence into the flay, into the another silence into a suppression. It was just impossible to walk away. If they caught you, you were as good as dead. And that happened so often throughout their game 2 and 3 of their series, and they just popped off. We also have BBJ Hot and Cure GG, the Hots boys, being represented here in Team 7. I actually don't remember what their composition looked like. I feel like there must have been a Sacella.
So the thing is that BBJ is sort of filling in for Michael Udall. Michael Udall is busy today, so he was not able to make it. So they pulled in their substitute. I don't know what BBJ is going to be bringing in today. I mean, he just got done playing in that tournament yesterday, Lumia Mania 2. Big shout out to Lumia Mania 2, by the way. That was a really fun squads tournament. If you missed it, it was here on this exact same channel, the Nimble Neuron official channel. You should go check that out. That was a lot of fun action. We had, you know, Scara. We had the HOTS team was doing great. We had a bunch of TFT players. They were doing really well too. All that stuff was really fun to watch. But yeah, they were originally running when Michael Udall was on the team. It was, I believe it. Okay, maybe I'm blanking too. I know it was Zahir. Udall was on Zahir. I think they had a Hedgen also. I want to say it was Zahir Hedgen, but I could be wrong. Either way, I'm pretty sure they're going to be bringing some good stuff because they've been playing a lot lately and they've been practicing like crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of unfortunate to having to swap off your main partner for a substitute, but I don't think these guys are unfamiliar with playing with each other at all, considering they were together yesterday for the squads event, or at least they're just close friends if I recall correctly. These guys have been together for a long time now. We also have Burning Z and Gally, which was this resident AR composition?
So Burning Z and Gally Gally, I've been running into them a lot. There's been some duos in houses that have been getting played lately, and yeah, let me tell you, Burning Z, Gally Gally, from my experience in the qualifiers, sorry, not the qualifiers, in the semifinals, they ran, I believe it was Shukai AR ISIL. They've been running Shukai AR ISIL in the duo in houses as well, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was the comp they're going to be bringing out here. But they do have some other stuff available too. I've seen Burning Z playing, I think it was Amp Dual Swords Yuki in addition to the ISIL, so that might be sort of an adaptation that we might see crop up here in the tournament. I'm not sure for sure, but I'm pretty sure we're going to see an AR ISIL out of them either way.
It's always funny whenever you have to think of like a pocket pick for this game. Like, I don't think people just kind of have like that signature pocket pick yet. I'm convinced at this point for a turn on return, everyone's pocket pick is just Amp Dual Swords Yuki. If you just don't know what to do, you just kind of whip it out. You're like, I'm just gonna press Rampage. It's gonna work pretty well.
Yeah, like there have been so many, especially in these team modes, we've seen so many people just like, I've got an Amp Dual Swords Yuki, like, I'm just gonna bring it. Why not, man? Like, even if it's not a Yuki player to begin with, they bring out the Amp Dual Swords Yuki anyways, because it's so good consistently, that gigantic amounts of AoE, like, amp damage, it's insane. It's really, really good in team modes, especially in duo.
Yeah, even with the formula changes, it doesn't seem to have been affected too much just because of how crazy Rampage is when you just pair with a ton of amplification. And Yuki being such an insane mobile character, having a free setup with his stun, it's just such a strong initiation, or just a follow-up to any composition they could really add. But these guys did crush it last week with their Jukai ISO composition. I mean, we pointed out that quite a bit, and just the ISO just absolutely crushing it with the new legendary weapon Agni, with the Jukai on top of it just being not really doing a whole lot of damage, just kind of being a walking tank that you had to bypass the entire time, doing incredibly well last week. And I think this is another fill-in, which is Linkachu and Homecoming. I believe it was Homecoming and Celeste, wasn't it?
Yeah, so Celeste, for one reason or another, I guess, didn't show up in time. So I guess we have Linkachu filling in, who was their substitute, filling in for Celeste, who appears to be completely MIA. We actually have just no idea where he is. So, hey, it is what it is. But Linkachu is actually one of the best players in EU, the EU region. So he'll be playing with that higher ping, but he is extremely good. The only issue that this is potentially going to pose for Homecoming and Linkachu is that maybe they don't have the routing quite prepared, because whatever Celeste is going to play maybe isn't something that Linkachu is comfortable on. I know Linkachu is very well known for like two characters in particular. He plays a mean pistol Aya, which he has been known for the longest time. He also plays a very good Luke, so I'm not sure we're going to see either of those characters out of them. I wouldn't be surprised if we did see pistol Aya though, because that's something that they've been playing for a long time. That is really what Linkachu is known for, especially over in the EU server.
Yeah, he used to stream back in the day, and whenever he was streaming, he spawned a group of fanboys around him. No mic, no cam, just raw gameplay, and you just, I don't know, he's just such a nice guy, and his gameplay always, this guy was incredibly consistent. I feel like he probably has the highest win rate on the EU server. Every time I've watched him, he just doesn't lose. He's absolutely
insanely good. Yeah, Linkachu is
crazy character.
Even amongst NA players, Linkachu is like widely considered one of the most talented, like consistent players of all time. He's extremely good at the game, but he hasn't been playing much on NA lately, so I think a lot of NA players of today maybe don't know the name quite as well, but he is exceptional at the game. Oh, hello. But anyways, so we do have a few more things we have to deal with before we get started on the games. We do have to make sure that all of our players get in here, because keep in mind, we do have several players who just for one reason or another couldn't make it. Either it's power outages or teammates who didn't show up, things like that. So we do have a couple issues here that we do have to work through, but once we get through all that, we can get into the games. So yeah, Tom, how do you feel about the path to get here? I know you didn't see every single game that was played, but like, how do you feel about these teams in terms of their progress, in terms of all of their ability to sort of get it together and get ready for this final set?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I did miss out on, sadly, a lot of these guys' groups. I know that like we had some events that were absolutely insane. I know we had the Pie Master and Tier versus Esther's team over at Pawn, which just spawned a ton of memes and a really crazy final circle. Probably the craziest one we've ever seen in a duels tournament, down to a final second one-hit scenario that just barely edged out for Pie Master and Tier at the very end there. Like, it was an insane. you had to go through a Herculean path to get here. It wasn't easy. None of these guys have come here from sheer luck. They had to play super consistently. They had to practice nonstop. These people have been in the in-house servers playing duos customs nonstop with each other, practicing against the top teams in NA. Or probably we could say the world at this point, because we really do gotta look at Korea. But these guys have been playing crazy well, practicing non-stop. So yeah, man, you have to go through a qualifying stage, through a semifinal, and now you finally made it to the top 18 in the finals. Getting here was not easy at all. It is a shame that some of these guys, 2 teams here, are not playing with their original teammates, but their subs are, well, still crazy. You know, BBJ Hot's great player, and Lincoln Chiz, we just mentioned earlier, and another great player. So it is going to be a little bit of an issue because it's not solos. Solos, you could play your own game and you're fine. Duos, on the other hand, you do have to really work around your partner, figuring out a routing, and just coming to pair together to have a cohesive strategy. So hopefully these guys had a little bit of time to prepare for that, but this was last second. So we're going to see some really interesting gameplay tonight, and you're going to get the highest quality gameplay here regardless. So guys, stick around. We have 5 crazy games coming up for you really soon.
Yeah, also, actually, there's a team that I don't think we quite mentioned that I really want to talk about, because they are sort of, in my opinion, the dark horse of this finals set, and that's Free Stratos and Lily Petal. Free Stratos and Lily Petal, they, in the qualifier set, in the semifinal set, if I'm not mistaken, they got out in first place in their group and first place within their semifinal group. They have been destroying their groups quietly, because I feel like, despite the very good performance, they still don't have a lot of attention on them, and I think that's because the way they've been winning has been very sort of slow, methodical. It's not flashy in any sort of way, but like, keep in mind, Lily Petal, who's been playing Nadine for most of these matches, Lily Petal at one point had like 93 farm on Nadine with 560 something stacks. Like, that is an insane amount of farm to get in a tournament setting, and this team has been able to pull it off. So I'm really curious to see if they're going to be bringing a similar farming strategy and be able to pull off quite the same amount of farm, especially as we're into an even more difficult lobby. This final lobby, man, again, we went from 162 down to just 18 players. It's only 9 teams left out of the original, well, like 81-ish or so. So like, the fact that we're in a lobby this difficult means it's going to be even harder for them to find that free farm. It's going to be much harder to get those animals uncontested, because people are going to be more aggressive and consistent with their farming.
Yeah, this is not going to be anywhere like the qualifying stage. Qualifying stage, you definitely had a lot of opportunity to take advantage of, no offense, to weaker players in the lobby to try and push you an advantage. But here, you can't really do that. Everyone's going to be incredibly optimal. They're going to time everything. They're going to make sure that everything is going to go their way, and it's just going to be a very slow-paced game. I don't think we're going to see a very fast-paced game at all. And right away, ooh. Oh, I forgot we had to touch on a character. There was a character last week that played that was so crazy. We touched about it a lot last time, but we didn't bring it up this time. Adela. How do you feel about Adela?
So I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of Adela today. There have been a couple teams that have been running Adela consistently throughout the tournament, and a lot of them have qualified. So we're going to see at least one team running Adela. Also, we should mention there was something that happened recently that was very important. So the reason why we're not going to be seeing any Barbara today was because it was actually a unanimous decision by all the competitors to disallow Barbara in the tournament. Our original rule is for any player or any character who is currently allowed in ranked to be allowed in the tournament, but due to sort of popular demand, the character was sort of deemed overpowered in duos, and no one really wanted to see the entire tournament devolve into all 9 teams running Barbara or something. So we ended up ruling against Barbara in the tournament, so there will be no Barbara in this tournament. However, we do have Adela, which is a character that we have been seeing a little bit of. Lily Petal and Free Stratos, a team we just talked about, the team that got all that farm on that Nadine. They have been running sort of like, it was Kiara at one point, but they switched to Adela, so they're a fan of having that rapier character to complement the Nadine, and in this case, they are going for Adela again. We also have Nazimi, who is, wow, have you like, Nazimi's Adela is amazing. It is so good, and we do have Nazimi playing Adela today, so I'm really looking forward to seeing some like insane chess combos coming out of Nazimi.
Yeah, I remember running into him to the Souls ladder quite a bit and kind of just laughing that he was playing Adela of all characters until I just died to him a lot. So he kind of showed me what Adela's potential looks like when put in the proper hands and given to somebody that has a lot of practice on the character, and especially in teams mode where her damage hasn't actually been like downscale a lot yet. She's relatively new. She's still at the higher tiers of damage, unlike certain characters like Nadine that we mentioned earlier, who's kind of just down to around, I don't know, I think like 85, possibly like 90%. Adela's still around like the 95% mark. She is really, really strong in these modes.
Yeah, Adela's at 95%. We just checked to make sure. Nadine is at 89%. So yeah, a lot of these characters are pretty low in their percentage at this point. The funny thing is that the person I was going to mention, the character that still has a suspiciously high percentage damage dealt in team modes is actually, what's her name? Emma with 96% in duos. We have Proster getting aggressed on by Homecoming over here in Chapel. He is playing that dual swords Yuki. This is not something that I am too surprised to see out of Homecoming. I mean, Homecoming playing Yuki is not a surprise in general, and we saw him playing dual swords Yuki a lot in the qualifier. But remember, Linkachu was not originally going to be his teammate, but since Celeste is not here, we are seeing that pistol eye. This is what I was expecting to see out of Linkachu. Out of all characters, it was going to be pistol eye. We do have Proster once again getting slapped around a little bit by Homecoming over here on the teleporter. He is unable to interrupt the TP though, and Proster will get out and meet up with his teammate Averse.
Yeah, funny thing is, from the Homecoming and Linkachu Cup, it really does feel like these two are kind of just playing their own individual game and routing here. Normally at this point in the game, we actually see teams grouping up right away. And yeah, if we look at the map here, pretty much every single team is grouped together. No team is actually in a zone by themselves anymore. And this is zone 2 for most of these guys. This is going to be a very, very slow-paced game. They're going to make sure that no one has a potential getting picked off. But we saw this happen last week quite a bit in the semifinals. We saw like the really greedy Sicela Emma composition from Superior and Deus. They had a really hard time getting their build together. Therefore, they would group way later and just kind of get picked off a lot despite the strength of their build if they were to get online. You know, a weak teammate is a lot than a dead teammate, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And also, one more thing I want to point out is that, yeah, like you said, all of our teams are meeting pretty early. Additionally, we do have nobody dead yet. This is kind of surprising. This is one of those things where I was expecting a lot of these teams to find some really tight timings to try and counter somebody. Maybe they've been observing routes in practice, but and like they'd like be able to snipe somebody. But no, our teams are actually playing very safe. Everyone has not been picked off yet. Like that is a significant thing in this lobby where everyone is an absolute killer. Also, one more thing I want to point out: we are kind of missing a few items on Miyazori and Tony. These are two of our best players in the lobby. Miyazori winning the ERCL solo finals. It was about a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, that was the first time we'd ever seen an ERCL victor, but he's currently struggling to finish his weapon. We also do have just a jewel sword on his teammate Tony as well. So that's going to be a little bit rough for that team.
Yeah, that's really, if you look at Mizor's items, it looks really, really painful. I'm assuming he probably tried to go for his Carnivon start, but wasn't actually able to get anything early on, so now he's probably transitioning to a Vibroblade, since Army Knife can go into any of the 3 weapons, well, including the Fragorosh, if he's lucky enough to get a Force Core there. But Tony, on the other hand, is full build here. He kind of has just like the standard 3-zone crit build with the Hovid, Optical Camouflage Suit, Bucephalus, Creed the Knight, Motorcycle, and the magazine stacking a ton of HP here.
Ooh, there's a fight about to break out in Temple between Tier 98 and Homecoming. The big ultimate from Linkachu, the blank cartridge is going to be catching both of his teammates, but Homecoming is going to end up dropping his Tier 98, gets him with the beautiful, beautiful ultimate. They're locking him down. Nicely done by Tier and Pie Master there to also finish him off. Homecoming will end up dropping, but I don't think they're necessarily going to... Okay, no, they are going to finish him here. They are not. It doesn't matter that they're good friends. Homecoming is going to be our first one to drop over here in the ERCL Duo Finals.
Yeah, normally this probably would be a waste of time to try and finish him, but Amp Dial-In does a lot of damage, even the corpse is while down, so there's just really no reason not to take advantage, especially when he has probably a lot of components these guys are looking for, since he is going for that Amp style build. That will put Linkachu by himself, just gonna have to try and scrap a build together and rat it out to the late game. Maybe look for that third-party potential. One funny thing that we have to point out here is, if we look at Team 5, we see Lilypel and Free Stratos. Free Stratos is playing not a very typical Adela build. We saw this last week in the semifinals. He played kind of like the Kiara tank build on Adela instead, which is really funny because he did the Kiara one game, it didn't work out, and he's like, what if I just do the exact same build on Adela? And from there, they crushed it.
Yeah, it actually worked out super well. Also, we have Gally going for the tree in forest right now. He is going to probably, yeah, he does end up securing it, but Tony and Mizray are trying to contest it. I believe Tony is trying to get a tree for Leviton, or potentially it's a tree to try and make a force core for Mizray. Either way, it's going to be Gally and Burning Z ending up securing it because, I mean, I've seen this team at this point in the game. They are spiked super hard in their strength. Also, we have Linkachu getting caught by Fenghua and Pakula. Linkachu will end up going down, and that will be the entirety of Team 6 eliminated, which is a very big deal for that team. Remember, if you lose one person early, Homecoming did go down there. Oh, never mind, hold on, hold that thought. Mizray dropping down to less than half HP, but he heals up a bit with that beautiful ultimate. We have Gally and Burning Z already dropping the burn to a crisp, doing a ton of damage, but they're both gonna end up backing up after that reset. Like, really, they do not necessarily want to overcommit to that fight, and it looks like both of our teams are just gonna end up splitting apart and going back to their separate zones.
Yeah, really interesting fight going down there. If we look at the entrance to hotel, we saw that Gally already had some jungle guillotines prepped up. So once he blocked it off in the little corridor there, they were able to take a nice little turn. And I don't think Gally and Burning Z are necessarily complaining about this because they really want to farm up some mastery, especially on Gally. Gally, if you get some of that AR mastery online, he's just going to be scaling super well here.
Ooh, Proster dropping the nice, what is it, cocktail party over onto BBJ and Cure, sort of knocking them around a little bit, spreading that extra little bit of fire, spreading that damage from long range, and sort of interrupting them from controlling that bridge. But overall, once again, these teams are going to end up backing up. So the thing I wanted to talk about, back when we were talking about when Linkachu just ended up dying there in, what was it, archery range, I believe it was? Wait a second, I can't finish this thought as we are constantly having fights. It looks like Mizray and Tony are TPing into Temple, finding BBJ and Cure over here, but no, they too will also be moving to the Tomsorcer teleporter, trying to get away from them. I don't think anyone necessarily wants to fight a Shukai. Also, interestingly enough, we are seeing two Shukais, which is not a character we saw almost any of in the previous groups leading up to the finals. I think it's mainly because Burning Z was the only one we really saw much of in the tournament, but now we're also seeing BBJ as he got swapped in for Michael Udall. Kind of interesting. More Shukais than we've been seeing this entire time. Shukai is a great character though.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we look at the Shukais too, they're not actually playing anywhere near the same style. If we look at Burning Z, it's actually still on that Lance of Poseidon build that we saw from him last week in the semifinals. And we look at BBJ, he's actually on a very typical Mount Slicer build. So we're kind of seeing the different routing variations coming down from these teams. You notice that Shukai is actually a pretty flexible character, as both weapons are completely viable. Both of the weapon actives are very strong, but they do play into different play styles, even if it always devolves to, hey, I'm going to cook and become the biggest late game monster you've ever seen in the game.
And another thing to point out about Shukai is the fact that it's a routing thing. Like you mentioned, the two different weapon types are completely viable, and I completely agree with you. But the thing about that is that when it comes to team modes, routing is sort of just king. It doesn't matter necessarily if something is suboptimal, as long as you do have the flexibility to route around your teammate, and that's exactly what's happening here. But speaking of crazy things happening here, we do have 4 teams converging in school. Nazimi is going to try and be running away. Nazimi and Shase trying to just get away from all of these teams. We have Burning Z Gally over in Archery, and sandwiched between him and 298 and Piemaster's team is of course a Verse and Proster. These are two players who are playing squishy, high mobility, high range, high CC characters, but they are, like I mentioned, pretty vulnerable. So if they do get caught between all those teams, they may end up falling. Wick is up in 40 seconds. So let me finish that thought from earlier. I keep getting interrupted by all these fights. So if you lose a teammate early, it is in your best interest to run the heck away and stay away from any potential threats, because if you survive, even if you don't get a lot of kills, you can potentially play for placement, and that's extremely important in these tournaments. Placement, it's not worth the most. We've been valuing kills more than placement in our scoring systems lately, but it's still something, right? You don't necessarily want to go out 0 kills 9th. You would much rather go out 0 kills 3rd if you were given the choice, because that is a few points that you would have that you wouldn't otherwise have. Tony catching BBJ as he's going for the console, will land the head to toe. That's a beautiful stun with a coup de grace into the suture thread. An absolutely gorgeous combo by Mizray and Tony. Wow! BBJ goes down like a rock, and now it's up to Cure to try and get away from Mizray and Tony, but that is a tough, that's a tough task ahead of him. Mizray going for the cutoff, gonna try and get that, oh, beautiful, grounded coming out from that heavy slash, beautifully done by both Mizray and Tony. Cure GG dropping, as well as BBJ right here. I can't even say at the start because we're currently on day 3, but man, one of the first teams to end up dropping out of the duos ERCL finals. God, I can't get over how beautiful that combo was.
Yeah, it was a beautiful fight, but what we did actually miss throughout that was Fakula and Fanghua actually securing Wickline for themselves, taking a nice teleport over to Doc, but there is a team waiting for them in the corner here in the Fog of War. We're seeing Free Strats and Lilypetal just hugging it out.
This is a very safe corner. This is, if you're trying to not be seen, this is an incredibly safe corner, but unfortunately they're about to run the timing where they do hit Fanghua and Fakula. Oh, it was a trap. They didn't want them to know they were there, and they catch them as they're going for the bears. Fanghua dropping very low armor. There's a third team that just showed up, Miyazroy and Tony. Another beautiful double suture coming out of Miyazroy. This man is so clean with his suture threads right now. I cannot believe it, man.
Yeah, no, the teams are going in, and it's actually no coincidence that Mizra and Tony are here right now. They're waiting for the bears. They know the timing of these animals spawning because they took it on early into the game, so they wanted to just secure the XP lead for themselves. But there's just another team fighting here. They're like, okay, well, that's a free kill for us. We're going to be on 3 kills this game. We're going to start running away with this. Also, one thing to point out, Mizroy is sitting on the Frag Rock. He is 1/3 of his items away from becoming, well, the the Exodia build that is Cathy that we've been seeing terrorizing these tournaments and ladder for such a long time now, coming from Mizroy. So Tony and Mizroy, they're looking really good. Even if they're not securing the Wickline and getting those components, they already got some of the really strong transitions that they're going to need to move on to the late game.
I really want to highlight something. I really like the stealth play coming out of Free Stratos and Lilypetal, hiding in that corner where no one's going to see them. The idea behind that was that there was no console vision in that area. If a team comes in, if they have console vision and they know that a team has come in, they hide in that corner, wait for someone to go for the Dock Bears, bait them into that really disadvantageous corner, and then combo them and kill them in one fell swoop. That was exceptional strategic play. Something that I never really see while playing this game. Is like really smart baits on animal timings and things like that. I really like that strategy. Unfortunately for them, as they were winning that fight, Miyazroy and Tony did show up and did sort of ruin their game plan. So that really hurt for Free Shadows and Lilypetal, but man, it was the thought that counts, and I really liked the initial strategy. That was really cool.
Yeah, the idea behind it there is, everyone in this lobby is insanely good players. Every single person here has a strategy they're going into, and a very common strategy is to kill the dock animals and secure a timing on it and just coming back when they respawn. So sitting in that corner and just waiting, of course, it could work out really well, but sadly they ran into a team with Wickline, a very strong powerhouse there, and that wasn't actually a team that secured the bears early on into the game. It was Mizroy and Tony that wanted to come back for, so the team that was stuck in the middle was actually Lilypetal and Free Stratos. And Lilypetal did have to suffer her demise over there by the dock bridge, leaving Free Stratos to just kind of rat it out in hospital, just waiting out over here. Well, Fakula just driving by, doesn't actually catch him. Oh no, they're just waiting for the teleport. Free Stratos are gonna get not grounded actually, but got teleport out. Fakula's gonna go on the chase here, sitting on the wick line, and the kill. Gonna go back in with the bike skill. Free Stratos gonna be forced to drop the checkmate, but the wall slow is gonna drop down. We're gonna see the Wooly go down, and Free Stratos will fall over down in Cemetery. The third team to drop here, Team 5, Free Stratos and Lilypetal, will see their demise.
Yeah, unfortunate. That was a really well-played catch by Fanghua and Fakula. They were covering both of the potential sort of exit strategy locations for Free Shadows there. It was a good idea, hiding in an area where you had a very nice escape route. That's generally a really good strategy when you're playing sort of to rat it out, to escape and go for placement. But in that situation, well, there was really nothing that Free Shadows could do. We're seeing over here in Hotel, Averse and Proster, they're going for the TP out as Pie Master and Tier 98 have forced them to do this. They were sort of cutting off all of their exit strategies, and yeah, they had to run all the way to Hotel to TP out. This is sort of an interesting adaptation. Proster switching over to the Adriana, which is not a character we saw at all in the semifinals. He'd been playing Dagger Jackie the entire time, but instead has switched over to Adriana instead, which is, it's an adaptation, and it's an interesting one, and I'm curious to see how it plays out. They have yet to find any kills though, which is something they're going to need to do. But then again, like, the fact that you haven't found a kill yet is not that weird. There are not a whole lot of dead players currently in this match so far. We only had 3 teams fall, and most of them have gone over to Miyazroy, and the rest of them tended to be just like, cleanup kills. Like Fanghua and Fakula have killed 2 solos so far, and Pie Master just got that first kill on Homecoming. Aside from that, it's just been Miyazroy and Tony cleaning up all these actual team fights and winning them.
Yeah, this could be an act. We could see like possibly a late game, like just a really big bomb angle coming down from Reverse and Proster, because what we're looking from earlier that we bought up was the term of adaptation. We see that Reverse. Oh wait, what is? Wait a second. So we have Gally, Burning Z, Tier 98, Piemaster taking a fight over Nally. We're seeing Burst quick shot down, but getting interrupted by Piemaster at the start there. There's a pressure gonna come out for Tier 98. Gally is gonna drop. That's gonna leave Burning Z to have to run away here, and Gally is gonna meet his demise. Wait a second, Piemaster getting the instant interruption on Burning Z, or did he cancel that? What happened there?
Don't know exactly what happened there, but that was an absolutely gorgeous striking Tiger coming out of Tier 98, catching Gally. Remember, Piemaster and Tier 98, they're playing two characters with a ton of CC on their kit, so if they do deem one person on the enemy team the bigger threat, they will all in them and make sure that they have no agency to ever actually walk away, locking them down entirely for the entire fight and dealing a ton of damage in the process. Burning Z, understanding that it was a lost cause for Gally, did end up just running away, did not want to be a part of that fight, and that's completely understandable considering how fast that ISIL ended up dropping to the ground. Nicely done by Piemaster in Tier 98. That was a really well played team fight. So far, they've done a great job of assassinating one person off of a team. Like, they know exactly what their team's strength is, and they're playing it really well.
Yeah, I mean, the Deep Strike is just a ton of crowd control. We see it come down, especially from Lennox, kind of a character that, again, we haven't seen any of. We only saw Piemaster in the semifinals. We're only seeing Piemaster again in the finals, running that Lennox. When in combination with the Snake Bite, the Whiplash, the Blue Viper, you just have a ton of crowd control in your kit and a ton of AoE coming down at all times. And you follow that up with an Amp Dialin. Wait, what's going on here?
Beautiful catch strategy by Miazoray and Tony onto Fanghua. They're trying to go for the double coup de grace again, but it's only going to be hitting Fanghua. Double ultimates dropped onto Fanghua. Fanghua will end up dropping Miazoray and Tony picking up one more kill. I don't know if you caught exactly how that fight began, but it was Miazoray and Tony hiding behind this little bit of wall, waiting for some team to just unwittingly pass by and just jump on them the second that they like accidentally fall into their trap. Beautifully played. We're seeing some really good strategic play coming out of a lot of our teams here. Keep in mind, Miazoray and Tony, their ults are down, but Proster and Averse are here with some sneaky remote mines in the bush. If I'm Miazoray and Tony, I want to get the heck away from this fight until I have more of my cooldowns offline. Also,
wait a second. Over to Alley. Burning Z is getting caught out in the bush. Piemaster walking right into him, making so the dash skill is actually going to end up smacking Piemaster at the end there. Gonna force Burning Z to tank a lot of timer to get out of school here. He's going to be left with 20 seconds on his timer here. Left alone at half health. The problem here is Avenue is also closed, and that kind of left him only one way to go. Yeah, Piemaster and Tier 98 are actually going to realize this right away, and it's going to force Burning Z to walk all the way around. But are we going to see Piemaster go for the cutoff here?
The question...
So no, just place it...
Yeah, the question I have is Burning Z, he is going to make it back in just barely with about 4 to 3 seconds left on his timer. The question is, yeah, who is going to end up cleaning him up? We do have an alley final zone. This is going to be our final square for the this entire match. Remember, guys, this is duos. This is not solos. Oh, wait, but hold on. There's a big team fight breaking out between Xiaozhe, Nazimi, Tyr, and Piemaster. Pi and Tyr, wow, they got blown up instantly by Nazimi, but now Burning Z is unknowingly walking straight into the bush where his initial, his initial chasers ended up getting down. The question is he just gonna chill there? Yeah, he kind of is. He's kind of vibing right now. Look at that man.
Yeah, he's just kind of a good time. What we actually did miss from the previous fight from Nazimi and Xiaozhe was actually Xiaozhe had that bush trapped. He had operational mind, whistle smart bombs, and Piemaster 298 just face checked it and dropped. Now we're seeing Burning Z, oh no, running into Tony, and Miazoray being forced to dash out into Proster and Reverse. Is this going to be their first kill of the tournament here? No, Miazoray with the double bypass actually going to secure it for himself, and now we're going to see Proster and Reverse on the chase. Or sorry, getting chased down, I apologize. Miazoray with the currently sitting on, wow, who knows how much movement speed right now. Gonna be chasing him down. Their one will be dropping, but the double grounded is gonna force us to stay in place. Averse trying to drop to the couch shots, but is gonna fall right away. Proster throwing down the flamethrower is not gonna be enough as these guys are still pretty much topped off. We're gonna see Miazoray and Tony with their 7th kill of the match. That is only gonna leave what was at 8 players now down to 5 for this final circle, and T3 is looking to take it all right now.
We are seeing nothing but gorgeous suture threads coming out of Miazoray. I think that's the 3rd time he has gotten a full team suture thread in this match so far, and it's just game 1. Like, this is Miazoray showing why he is the best Cathy in NA, potentially the best Cathy in the world. He has been playing so well today, and like it's blowing my mind. These gorgeous suture threads. I dare you to play Kathy and try and find those exact same suture threads on the best teams in the entire region. It's so difficult, and he is finding the exact perfect angles in order to do that, and it just locks the team up, and then he hits him with the grounded afterwards. Like, what are you supposed to do in that situation? You are going to get hit by that coup de grace. You are screwed when that happens, man. That is so difficult to deal with.
Yeah, especially against the guys he was facing against Verse Processor, playing two very squishy control mages. So what ends up happening is once that stun goes in, you're as good as dead. You don't really have an effective HP pool to work with. But with that being said, we're going to see his final circle going to be opening up any second now. We have 13 seconds left, and right now Zhao Zhe is showing why ISO is such a menace in this final zone. With Claymore's remote mines and his own ultimate, the operational mine, dropping down and just having Nazimi poke them out. This is going to create such an issue for anybody to really walk in here. I mean, aside from these two teams, we do have Fakula waiting in the background. But 1 second, Tony Evolves is going to get stunned. Going to parry inside, the remote mine is going to proc. But right now, Tony Evolves is going to be forced out of the zone with 5 seconds remaining. This image on the checkmate. The coup de grace is going to drop, but that's going to leave Tony with 1 second, but it's not going to connect. Fakula walking into zone here. Tony exploding to zone. That's going to leave Mizroy by himself with Zhao Zhe on the chase. Not going to let Mizroy back into the zone at all. Mizroy going to be left with 5 seconds. Going to try to force his way back in here, but we're seeing the chase from Zhao Zhe and Nazimi. He's going to explode his zone as well. And that's going to leave a 2v1 with Fakula left.
This is a game for Xiaosei and Nazimi. Xiaosei and Nazimi, they take game number 1. GG going down to Xiaosei and Nazimi. Wow.
Oh my god, the bombs after the bombs. They had complete zone control. And you know why this led up this? This was because of what happened earlier with Mizroy and Tony. They went for the chase versus Proster. They gave the final zone to Zhao Zhe and Nazimi, letting the ISO set up for free. You can never step back into that zone ever again.
Absolutely. They had remote mines down. They had smart bombs down. They came to play today, Xiaosei and Nazimi, with the best trap control in the entire lobby. They took the zone and they took complete control of it. They had all the traps in the world that they needed, and they did a fantastic job. One more thing I wanted to point out too is that Tony and Mizroy, they didn't really have a lot they could do in that situation because they had sacrificed a lot of their timer earlier in the game. It's a very valuable resource, and we saw there right there at the end, Tony had like only about 10 seconds to work with, and you're gonna need more time if you're gonna end up getting forced out of the zone like that. So yeah, beautifully done by Xiaosei and Nazimi, taking game number 1 with 5 whole kills. But remember, it's not over yet, guys. There's 5 games today. That means there's 4 games still left. So there are still a lot of chances for players to have amazing games and come back at any time. I want to point out, Fenghua and Fakula did a fantastic job taking second place with 2 kills. It was very nicely done. They lost Fakula pretty early. Okay, it's not that early, but they lost Fakula around the mid game, which by the standards of this match was pretty early on because we had so few people dying early in this match. But yeah, the fact that Fenghua was able, sorry, did I get it mixed up? Either way, no, sorry, it's Fakula that survived. It was Fenghua who ended up going down early. My point still stands. If you lose somebody and you can be, you're able to run away and go for placement, that's very valuable because now they got 2 kills, second place. It's a lot better than say like 1 or 2 kills with 5th or 6th place, which is what they might have been if they had both died at the same time. Additionally, I don't have to say it, it's obvious. I think Tom already knows it. Mizroy and Tony, they did a fantastic job in that game. They got 7 kills. It doesn't matter that they got 3rd place, but they got 7 kills. That is an insane first game. Even if you're in 3rd place, that is a ton of points. Remember, each kill is worth 3 points, and you do get a flat amount of placement for your placement as well. But really, 3 times 7, you're going to be getting a lot of points off of that. That's 21 whole points for their team just off of kills. But once we do have the scores, we'll have them, you know, calculated together, and then we can show you exactly where our current results are. Believe we do have them ready, so we're going to be switching over to that right now. Let's check out where our teams are currently standing. After game number 1, taking that first place game with 5 kills, we have Xiaosei and Nazimi with 33 points, but right below them, not very far away, is Tony and Mizroy with 32, going to show that kills are extremely important. You cannot get away with just placement. They had 2 more kills than Xiaosei and Nazimi, but since Xiaosei and Nazimi got 1st and they got 3rd, there's going to be a 1-point difference with Xiaosei and Nazimi leading. And in 3rd place, we have Fenghua and Fakula getting 20 points, a nice result for them as well. Tom, you want to run us through the rest of them?
Yeah, absolutely. In fourth place, we have Pie Master in tier 98 with 11 points, and not falling very far beyond. We have a Verse and Procer, despite getting, I believe, fourth place in that in the previous match, is going to be sitting in with 9 points. We're going to see Gali Gali and Burning Z in sixth place with 7 points, Free Stratos and Lily Petal with 3 points in seventh place, and in eighth place we have Cure and BBJ with 2 points, and in ninth place we have Celeste and Linkachu and Homecoming with a single point to their name. So guys, just letting you know, right now the discrepancy between third and fourth isn't very big. We're seeing 20 points in third place with Fangwan Fakula and 11 points from fourth place with Pie Master and tier 98. This is not going to be that hard for anybody to really come back into. It's only game 1. You got 4 games to go. We saw even at the very end where it felt like Xiaozhe and Nazimi weren't really getting too many kills. They weren't going to get too many points. They just skyrocketed right back to first place immediately. This is kind of the strategy we saw from them last time, just playing very slow, playing for that final zone, and well, they got the opportunity for it and took over the lobby in a matter of like a minute. What just felt like a very slow game from their part. They just took it all for themselves.
Yeah, I think that was really kind of showing me something that I wasn't expecting. I was not expecting, after Mia's Roy and Tony had such a good all game. I'm not even gonna call it an early game. They had a good early game. They had a good mid game. They had a good late game leading up until that very last fight. I was surprised to see them end up dropping to Xiaozhe and Nazimi, but that just goes to show, if you do get forced out of the zone and you're forced to come back into that final square through a choke point, that's where Nazimi playing Adela is really going to shine. One beautiful like pawn or queen combo right on top of you and your teammate is going to do a ton of damage, and it's going to force you to sort of reconsider whether or not you want to push in from that angle. It's going to really make you reconsider a lot of things, maybe even character choice, because that is something that you don't have a lot of options to deal with if you lose that zone too early on. Additionally, getting back into that zone, you have to funnel through a choke with Adela messing you up. You also have to deal with all of the traps being placed by Xiaozhe on that ISIL. Remember, all of ISIL's traps will also shred your defense. He also can place them down really fast. So ISIL is an exceptional character when it comes to stacking up traps in specific areas, like a final end zone. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Miazroy and Tony sort of shift their focus towards making sure that Xiaozhe and Nazimi die. I think that is going to be the number one priority for Miazroy and Tony, is making sure that Xiaozhe and Nazimi cannot reach that final square to sort of execute a strategy like that again. But other than that, yeah, I think we might see a lot. I'm starting to think that maybe we're going to have some shakeups in the next couple games. I don't think we're going to see the same results every match. Homecoming and Celeste are fantastic players, and Celeste is back, so their initial strategies, their practice that they've been putting in, it's ready to be played because Celeste is, finally here, and they're no longer going to be playing with Linkachu because that was just their substitute. Maybe they're going to bring something in games, 2 through 5 because they didn't have their original team composition here in game number 1. Pie Master and Tier 98, they did fantastic, in my opinion, in sort of the early to mid game. Can they transition that into a great late game? That's something I would like to see. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think about sort of the projected results going forward? Who do you think is going to just shrug off the first game, call it a bad one, and come back in game 2?
I mean, of course, I'm going to have to give it to Homecoming and Celeste. These guys have been incredibly consistent. They've been the dual partner since, I think, the beginning of this game. They're just very close friends. They've always been incredibly strong players. And now that they're back together, they can actually go with their original strategy instead of just playing, their 2 separate characters and just hoping to group together and make it work. Yeah, funnily enough, even though, well, we'll see in just a moment. But aside from that, I think it's going to be really hard to shut down Nazimi and Xiaozhe. I know you point out that you're going to probably see a lot of focus going down onto these guys, but they're such a safe composition. Really, you could try to abuse them in the early game as well. Missile Team does take quite a long time to get online, and that build in general, it does take a while to really get to that point where it's just incredibly hard to kill. You can abuse it in the early game if you're able to route into it, so maybe we're going to see players have a little bit of a heads-up play and try to intercept them during their routing. Aside from that, I am curious to see if some of our fan favorites are able to really come back into this. Verse Proster, they had a really rough showing in the early game. We saw that the adaptation did have to be made into a shuriken hedge, and we saw them having traps during the fight against Miazroy and Tony, which did kind of help them out a little bit, but they were never able to secure that final circle and really flesh out their strategy at the very end, as they were just picked off barely before that final circle was closing off. But now I think we are going to see a bit of a shakeup in weapon choices. I think we did just see. I'm curious to see if that does fall into fruition with some of with who I just mentioned.
So yeah, I don't know exactly what we're going to be seeing as far as shakeups go. Do we wait, are there any strategy changes that I didn't notice? Hold on. Are you seeing something that I don't see?
I think I did see a weapon change from a verse, or am I going crazy here? No, never mind. He's starting Temple. We're gonna see the exact same strategy as the last game. I thought I saw a bow pick this time around. That we're gonna see the elemental bow, but he's probably thinking force is a little too scary to go into this time around. He doesn't want to get picked off that early into the game.
Yeah, I don't think necessarily that there's going to be any major shifts right here in the second round. I think most teams want to sort of give their strategies around 2 rounds to make sure that they work or don't. It's one of those things where you don't necessarily want to give up on everything you've been practicing after just one bad game. One bad game is probably just that. It's probably just one bad game. If it consistently doesn't work for rounds 2 and 3 and 4, then yeah, maybe you should probably start pivoting to something else because it's clearly not working in the current lobby. But I think game 2, like we saw, it's gonna be mostly a lot of the same strategies, mostly a lot of the same stuff from all of these people. And yes, as we're seeing, nobody has really pivoted characters, nobody has really pivoted weapons. I don't think anyone's really pivoted routes either. It's mostly the same, but we're gonna end up seeing that as we do check on more of our players. One thing that I want to point out that is very important with high-level duos play, we mentioned this last game and I'm going to mention it again this game, is pay attention to how fast our teams end up grouping. That's one of those things that you see not really done a whole lot in the lower LPs, in the lower rankings. A lot of these teams end up being pretty far away from each other for a long time, and they only meet up around like nighttime or zone 2. But what you're going to be seeing pretty early on in this tournament is a lot of these teams end up grouping as fast as possible. They tend to just take 1 or 2 zones apart and then group up extremely quick. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw almost every single team grouped up by the time we hit night 1. So the question I have though, is anyone going to go for some sort of like early grease strategy? We're seeing our verse over here potentially getting caught by Cure and BBJ, but keep in mind, he is playing a character who can just get away from most things in most situations, using that path of the Nomad to get over the river and get over to safety.
Yeah, not a lot of characters can exactly go over the river for free. Hedgen's an incredibly safe character, especially with the type of build, the playstyle these guys are going for. We did see him last game. I believe it was on the Death Rune, which was such a safe weapon, especially with the way Hedgen works. You kind of take reduced damage. Oh, wait, timeout. We're seeing potentially first pick of the game. Xiaoze getting caught down by Homecoming and Celeste. Actually going to be the first drop. Not this time around. Homecoming will not be the one getting dropped. This time around, he's actually going to be securing the kill for himself and his teammate. I mean, we are seeing the power that is, well, Elegance, Imperial Crown, Aya, just coming down Zone 2 Temple. And of course, I mean, it is a very weird strategy, but the Twin Sword does do a surprising amount of damage, even early game on Yuki. We saw it happen last game to Prosa over in Chapel, where you almost dropped to it on the Hyperloop, but was Silent not able to get it. But this time around, Homecoming Celeste getting their first kill of the game.
Yeah, I mean, hey, this is what I'm saying. Nothing is ever set in stone, especially after the first game. Our victors from the last round, Xiaoze and Nazimi, losing the ISIL to their Adela over here at the beginning of round number 2 to the team that ended up going out in the last game. So that's the first place team dropping to the team that was in the last game. All of these teams are insanely powerful. All of these teams can do incredible things, so you really cannot count absolutely anyone out yet. Xiaoze going down. That's up to Nazimi now to play the rest of round number 2 alone, which is one of the worst positions to be in. You do not want to be in that position unless you're forced to be. That is a really, really big pickup for Homecoming and Celeste.
Yeah, we brought this up during the character select, and we were talking about what can you really do to stop these guys, and it is just stopping them early on to the game. They need that time to scale. These are not very strong early game characters. They scale very well into the late game. They really do need those traps. They need some mastery to get online, but if you catch them out separate during their routing before they're able to group up, well, you saw what just happened. Xiaoze can't really escape. He doesn't have boots in zone 2, so there was really no way for him to get away there.
Ooh, Tyr and Piemaster are chasing aggressively against Cure and BBJ right now. Cure doing his best to kite, throwing out the Gendaivas over against Tier 98. Oh, the engage by BBJ. There goes the burnt to a crisp. Tier just gets absolutely, well, I guess I'd say cooked up pretty fast. I was going to say melted, but it's a little bit played out at this point. Cure and BBJ, they end up killing off Piemaster and Tier 98, baking a nice little pie in the process.
We actually did miss a fight here over at Beach.
Hold on, hold that thought. Celeste and Homecoming coming in from the side. BBJ gonna drop to the coup de grace, and Kira's now backed into a corner and will drop to Celeste and Homecoming. That is unfortunate. Yeah, Fakula ended up dropping to Proster and a verse, I believe it was, during all that, right?
Yeah, they dropped over at Beach. It was a really nice cocktail party coming out for Proster, interrupting Fakula's bike. But man, you guys are just... What happened this game? The last game, we had this many kills over by like night 3. Now it's night 1, and there's 6 people just dead. We're seeing the aggression being turned up to the max in this lobby. And right now we're seeing... Ooh, wait. Averse and Proster are looking incredibly strong right now. Averse on the now buffed Glacial Shoes, and Proster being on very happy Adrian here with the auto arms. These guys are going to be a menace to deal with as this game progresses.
Averse and Proster are looking good in gold right now, both rocking a very high tier rare piece of equipment each. Also, yeah, like you said, the aggression that they've been bringing in round number 2 is completely out of character compared to the round 1 aggression from this lobby. That was one of the things that I had been pointing out last game. Was like we hit like day 2, and I think 1 person had died at that point. An absurdly low number of players had died at that phase in the game. But right here at the start of day 2 in round 2, we have what? 6 people dead already. 2 full teams and 2 solos have already been slain over here at the start of game 2. Like, these teams, they found their footing, they found their comfort zone, and they're like, all right, guys, last game was last game. We're moving on, and it's time to murder people. At the start of this game, we already have Homecoming and Celeste with 3 kills on their whole team. That is an insane number of kills so far, and they may have even more as they are about to catch up with Gally and Burning Z. A beautiful dual swords rampage by Homecoming, dropping Burning Z incredibly low, only about 300 HP. He will end up falling with like no damage traded back by Gally and Burning Z. That is the 4th kill to Homecoming and Celeste. A beautiful dual swords rampage there, dealing so much damage to Burning Z.
Yeah, they were saying how upset Homecoming Celeste is right now. Their rage is just coming out. Homecoming did not like being the first one to drop last game, and he is coming back with a vengeance. 4 kills already. That's going to be a lot of points secured for these guys. And if they're able to keep this snowball rolling, who knows how many kills again with this game. They could easily skyrocket from last place right now all the way to first place off of this performance alone.
My only regret in life right now is knowing that I'm not currently in their voice call and hearing all the weird noises that Hoko would be making as he's like anime swordsman dashing through his opponents. He's going like sha hua hua, like he's got to be doing so much stuff right now. Congratulations to Homecoming and Celeste, already getting 4 kills over here at the start of round number 2. That's like, that is what they needed. Their mental was not sabotaged by the last game, and I'm really happy to see them bringing it in game number 2. You know which team's been really quiet? The team that is always really quiet. I'm talking, of course, about Lily Petal and Free Shadows. They're already on 34 farm on the Nadine, 187 stacks. That is a ton of stacks to have on day 2. This is normally the amount of stacks you normally see on a Nadine. Like, if you're playing normals right now, you'd probably see Nadine's end the game with that many stacks. Over in the top side of Cemetery, though, Averse and Proster may have caught Homecoming and Celeste. Keep in mind, all of their cooldowns are off right now, so you could see a big combo coming out of Homecoming. If they do get the catch on any of these players, they're trying to burst one person in particular. The question is, who will be out of position first? Who can Homecoming get the dash and stun on? That, or, oh, potentially they may just run away. No. A beautiful dash in from Averse. Homecoming finds the dual swords rampage onto both players, 1 to each, but whiffs the coup de grace altogether. Celeste is trying his best to 1v2 in the situation, but may not find exactly what he needs. A smart bomb does drop. They are building traps this early. Guys, it's not the final end zone. We don't need smart bombs yet. Celeste will end up going down. Proster and Averse finding their first full team kill.
So I think there was a really big issue that ended up happening here. Before this fight happened, Homecoming was actually farming the level 12 wolves that spawned right by the Tree of Life here. I don't think he had Rampage up until the very end of that fight. So he wasn't able to actually get anything. Like, without that Rampage, you're really not much of a character on the Amp Yuki. So as we saw, he was just kind of waiting a lot, staying in the back. And we know these guys really didn't want to have tanked that much time. You're going to Research Center. And of course, why wouldn't you feel confident taking this fight? You're 4 kills in. You're up a ton of mastery. But man, it just not having that your main damage source up, you can't really do a whole lot with that composition.
Yeah, that was just an unfortunate position. I didn't notice that they had wasted the dual sword rampage against wolves, showing why that skill is powerful but risky, because unfortunately it is on a static. I could probably be butchering the actual cooldown, but I think it's around a 40 to 45 second cooldown on that skill. It's incredibly long cooldown. And yeah, you can't reduce it with CDR. That's how weapon skills tend to work. They do not get influenced by CDR. So it's a static cooldown and it's pretty long. So if you end up wasting it just to farm, you're gonna be kind of shields down when it comes to an actual fight. That's why they were like trying to run away towards the research center, but I guess it didn't work out. Maybe in that situation it would have been better to just escape altogether, not commit to the fight in any way. Who knows? Honestly, who knows? That's just sort of one of those things that you're gonna be staying up at night, playing over in your head over and over. That's an unfortunate loss for Homecoming and
Yeah,
Sluts.
it's a type of thing where you're just sitting there like, okay, we could have maybe placed spark bombs earlier. Maybe we just should have just tanked the timer. Who knows what we can really do at the end of the day. It's always just the hypothetical situation, but you really can't fault them for taking that type of fight. I 100% would take that fight.
Hold on, we have Miazroy and Tony over here by the fire truck trying to bait something out. A verse, if he wouldn't have line of sight, he almost got caught there. They were just a second too early on that reveal. Unfortunately, a verse will not go down to Miazroy and Tony in that situation. But yeah, I gotta say, both these teams, they're trying to posture for Wick. They're both trying to take it. They are the only real, like, major full team threats to contest Wick, and the fight does end up breaking out. Beautiful parry by Tony will negate a lot of the damage by Averse and Proster. Tony dropping down to below half HP. Averse trying to kite onto the fire to make sure he doesn't get jumped on, but he will end up going down as the beautiful double ultimate from both Miazroy and Tony connects onto him in a Venn diagram of damage. Averse will end up going down to Tony and Miazroy, the same team that slayed him in round number 1.
Man, we keep seeing this over and over from Miazroy. Whenever he lands the perfectly spaced amputation to get the grounding effect off, Averse just can't really do anything. You can't really run away as such a squishy character, like when you're just grounded. You can't use Charmer to Nomad, you can't get out, you're just as good as dead, and we saw that happen in this fight. Miazroy landed the amputation, and Tony followed up immediately, and just killing him throughout that 2-second window of the grounding duration. It was a beautiful play from them, and now we're seeing them secure the Wick Life for himself, as nobody else is in the area to try and get this at all. Miazroy, while already being on the frag rock, isn't going to matter too much because he's about to get off this optic suit and this crown, and we're going to start seeing that insane transition that he's really well known for. That's going to give an extra force score for some potential traps, or maybe we might see the newly released I Am Elysian Halo possibly drop on Tony here.
We actually
see what these guys do.
Hold on, we do have Fanghua chasing Nazimi over in hospital. These are two of our solo players, both trying to get a kill right now. I don't think they're being friendly, by the way. If you think these guys are on a team, I highly doubt it. This is very clearly a chase situation. Nazimi trying to turn it, trying to go for a kill. Beautiful combo by Nazimi. Fanghua dropping down to just about 800 HP. Tries to go for the trade combo, but it doesn't quite get off in time. Nazimi finding a kill on Fanghua despite being a solo player. Nicely done by Nazimi.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Nazimi's feeling himself for that one. He landed a beautiful combo, and honestly, that was more Fanghua just getting a little overzealous and not really respecting Nazimi's damage that we could do. Just kind of went for the hyper loop, and Nazimi was just able to, like, okay, you're gonna stand still. I'm gonna throw everything at you. Good luck trying to get out. And Fanghua will suffer with his life there. And Nazimi will secure one kill for his team. Still in the game here. That placement is always available, as right now we kind of have 3 solo players. Nazimi, Proster, and Gali are all just trying to run away and get as much placement as they possibly can. So for Fanghua to drop there, he ended up dropping in 6th place at the end of that.
Yeah,
kind of crazy to think about.
It's crazy thinking that there's 7 people alive, and if you die right now, you're going in 5th. Like that is just a bizarre idea. I don't know. Oh no, not even. Yeah, okay, so if you drop right now, you would be in 5th. But yeah, dropping with 8 people left and you're ending up in 6th, that feels really bad. Like, that's what happens when you have so many solos still alive. You have these situations where, yeah, you will end up dying, but there's still so many single players alive that you end up with a low placement, and that feels really bad. One thing I want to point out, that I have to point out every time that I remember to, is once again, our quietest team on the map, despite being one of the biggest threats on the map, Free Stratos and Lilypetal, just doing the farm thing that they do every single game. Like, let's check the leaderboard real quick. Let's check to see our farm difference on our players. Oh, let's see, 9 on Gali. Yeah, 26 on Nazimi, 29 on Tony, 17 on Miazroy, 15 on Proster. Oh yeah, casual 66 on Lilypetal. So much farm on this Nadine. We're getting close to 400 stacks, about to be breaking on Lilypetal. It's insane. It's absolutely every game. They just do this insane like passive farm. They don't take wick. They just play safe. And now we have a beautiful combo coming out from Free Stratos, catching on to Gali, but Gali stealthing away, potentially getting away. But I think that the trail might be pretty hot, as Free Stratos and Lilypetal are perfectly chasing, although they are about to run into Miazroy and Tony, so this could be pretty dangerous if they overcommit to trying to kill Gali. But also we do have Proster teeping into the zone as well. Gally.
Gali gonna use the his camouflage to try to escape, but it's not gonna work out very well. Lilypad gonna drop her also, but one second, we're gonna see Tony evolved and Mizroy come in, and all the cooldowns are on the line for these guys. This is not gonna work out very well. Free Shots is gonna drop to Dagger, so Cloak and Dagger gonna finish him off, but we're gonna see Proster is on the chase for Lilypad here. No, that is not a chase. That's a friendly team up. This did not happen at all during the semifinals. We are actually gonna see the first team up for the finals. This is not against the rules, by the way, guys. This is perfectly allowed. You cannot go above your expected team limit, but going back to 2 is perfectly fine.
Yeah, considering the fact that Free Strauss is essentially full dead, I think this is okay in this situation. Yeah, the rule for teams in the duo tournament is that if you do end up losing, like if you're like missing a person off of your team, you can technically strategically try to team up until the full number of players on a team. So we're seeing Proster and Lilypetal for the first time. This is the first time we've seen it in the entire tournament. This is not something we ever saw until this first part. They're taking advantage of that ability to play on each other's team, but keep in mind, it's not necessarily as good as you would think. A lot of these situations tend to end up in sort of a backstab situation. You're like, yeah, you and me, let's be friendly, but then, you know, suddenly you just decide to conveniently run away as you and your new teammate end up meeting a full team or something. It tends to always end in backstabbing. It tends to always end in pretty interesting, compelling gameplay, so it is perfectly allowed because it does still put you at a massive disadvantage as you do have friendly fire and other similar stuff. We have Lilypetal trying to do sort of the dance of friendliness to Nazimi, but I don't know. Nazimi already murdered a solo, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Nazimi's feeling too kind this game as well. But maybe so in this situation.
I just find it funny how Lilypetal took the teaming and just said, I'm gonna hyperloop out of here. You do what you want. I'm gonna go on my own here.
Yeah, you don't know where I'm actually going, so see ya. These alliances,
we might meet again. You might die.
They tend to be pretty short-lived. I think Lilypetal's just like, yo, if you're not gonna attack me, I'm just gonna keep farming. Like, I'm just gonna do my thing. You guys can do whatever you want. Like, whatever. Don't attack me. They're not actually trying to stick together or anything.
Now the problem is gonna come down to there's gonna be a lot of potential for Mizroy and Tony just kind of get 3 kills to their name here and just end this lobby, as everybody else right now, team 1, 3, and 5 is all slow-lows, and the only actual team remaining is team 2 of Mizroy and Tony evolved. While not really being too active in the game, only taking down a verse early on during the wick line spawn, they've just kind of been walking around trying to secure whatever kills they could. They did get free shots earlier, just a couple minutes ago, but there's just not a whole lot of activity from these guys, especially when it compares to the last game where they got 7 freaking kills. 7. That is pretty unprecedented. Well, from these guys, it's not exactly unheard of. These guys are very well known for their aggressive playstyle and just kind of snowballing it into their lead, especially with the characters that they play. These are such strong characters for just picking people off, especially whenever Mizroy is able to land the amputation into a Suture. Just kind of forces the head-to-toe from Yuki and just cleaning up anybody to run into. And speaking of running into somebody, they did just grab Force Console, and I'm pretty sure they're well aware that there is someone in this bush, and Nazimi is going to get out of here right away. And we are going to see Lilypetal run to the red zone and say, yeah, I'm good. I'm not trying to deal with this. I'm sure they're going to check this bush in the back. I got to be as safe as possible. I'm not an Adela. I can't run away at just as well as she could.
Yeah, so Nazimi is going to head up to the top side of the forest, try to hide there for now. It's probably the safest place to be, but also the most dangerous because you do still have to run through all of Forest and most of Uptown in order to make it into our final zone dock, which currently only Proster is in, our only player to be in the final safe area. Well, we are, like you just mentioned, in sort of a weird situation where it's up to this final set of 2 to try and clean up all of these solos. The question on my mind is whether or not these solos can do enough damage to Tony and Mizroy so that like a 3rd party, 4th party, 5th party situation actually turns into a favorable one for any of these solos. I don't know if anyone will actually end up going down on Mizroy and Tony's team. That sort of remains to be seen, but keep in mind they have beautiful gear pieces so far. Mizroy almost fully transitioned with both the Frag Rack and the Elysian Hail. This is a very, very powerful position to be in on any Cathy player. Also, Tony with the Chinese Opera Mask, with the Lunar Embrace, which is really good against every single person who is still currently alive in this lobby. Also, the Mithril Shield as well is a very fantastic tool. We have Lilypetal coming in out of the red zone, so taking a little bit of timer, hitting almost 500 stacks, almost 90 farm, but in a rough corner here and just trying to find a little bit of safety against both of these teams that are converging on either side.
And it looks like there might be some potential friendliness here from Lilypetal and Nazimi. They're not really exactly focused on firing each other right now when they easily could. Oh, but Nazimi is going to get... Oh, no, the amputation is going to land. That's going to get grounded for just a moment there, but will be able to escape and going to be forced onto the Chapel Hyperloop. Going to be a random TP back in the dock somewhere. Could put him in a worse position than he already was in. Lilypetal's going to get stunned by Tony's head-to-toe here, and Lilypetal's going to use a Monkey Wire, try and get up, but that is a lot of timer she is ticking, and especially with the Glacial Shoes, doesn't have the full movement speed until she's out of combat here. Going to be down to 8 seconds and barely coming out of Mies Roy's nose. How did
they not guard that entrance? I'm actually shocked. Maybe they just wanted to catch anybody else. They probably saw Nazimi on the console vision if they already got console. I don't know for sure, but either way, they just wanted to go try and find these rats before it was a situation where they actually have to deal with all 3 at the same time, which could end up being potentially unfortunate. Tony throwing down the parry to block the checkmate coming out of Nazimi. Now all 3 of our solos are over here. Keep in mind, they cannot fully team all 3 of them. That is against the rules. They have to know, like, you can't exceed the original count of 2. So if you've kind of already found a potential teammate, you cannot go up to 3. That is against the rules. Proster and Lilypetal, they're going to be pretty friendly with each other as they were earlier on, and now it's Nazimi versus this sort of, I guess, set of 2 and set of sort of 2. Also, we're seeing a lot of traps coming down from Mia's right and Tony. This is a very bizarre final zone situation to be in. This is one of the weirder ones I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a situation like this from any of the dual tournaments. This is going to be a very exciting final score coming down in just a moment. Will we see backstabs? Will we see Lilypetal try to secure her own placement and take out Proster as soon as possible? What will we see from Nazimi as he's having to sit outside red zone right now with 15 seconds? Guys, this is going to be a very hectic last minute.
Remember, Lilypetal is on almost 500 stacks, a very powerful position to be in. We're seeing Proster dealing damage to Nazimi, pushing him out of that corner. We're seeing, Mia's right goes in, the checkmate goes down from Nazimi, tries to get out with just 10 seconds left on the timer. It's Tony fighting Lilypetal as Proster is trying to get one quick kill on Nazimi before Nazimi does end up going down. That is a kill that could potentially go to a team that probably didn't deserve it to begin with. Nazimi does end up falling to Mia's right instead though, but Tony goes really low. This could be a 2v1 situation where Mia's right does not come out on top. Proster gets the kill on the Lilypetal. It's a 1v1 Proster versus Tony.
Oh my goodness, the betrayal at the very end. Proster said, you're gonna take all the damage. Thank you for the free kill. Love you, buddy, but you're dead now. I'm taking that free kill. I'm gonna take this for myself. But Tony is incredibly strong here. And Proster, I don't believe he has all his ultimate charges back up. Cocktail Party is gonna be the only way he can really interrupt this. Oh wait, that's a second one. Tony tried to go for the combat rest. It's not gonna work out. Is he gonna go for another one? Does he have one more charge back up? No, he's using the fire escape to try and get...
Oh, he got the kill!
No, Proster takes it.
Proster! Wait, what? Hey, the weirdest possible final fight there. Tony attempting to stick the revive, does end up getting it off, or does not end up getting it off, and Proster ends up getting the kill. Proster takes game 2 with 5 kills. What? I can't believe it.
I got nothing.
I got nothing, man.
Oh my goodness. Well,
Tony,
we did say it. You had one crazy minute. I hope you guys are going to remember this because this is going to be on a highlight reel. That was the craziest minute you're probably going to be catching anytime soon. And that's only game 2 out of 5. You guys are not ready for what's coming up next.
Oh my God, man. That was... Well, I know a verse is happy right now. I mean, that is taking a bad situation and making it into a fantastic situation. Just like we talked about there, betraying the temporary teammate that he had made, getting a kill there. That's another kill. He didn't quite get the kill onto Nazimi. That went over to Miazroy and Tony, but man, what a bizarre situation to find yourself in. 3 solo players. They were not even all like helping each other. Nazimi had no friends in that final zone. 3 solo players ended up bullying out Miazroy and Tony. I find it very odd that Tony opted to stick the revive there. I can't help but feel like in that situation, sure, if he had survived, he would have potentially gotten that revive off. But this is Adriana we're talking about. This is a character who just can throw out CC interrupts every like couple of seconds. They're max CDR too. It's not like he didn't have CDR. He had beyond max CDR. He was overcapped by about 4%. So it was a max CDR Adriana, and you're trying to stick a revive, and she can throw cocktail parties out constantly. Like, there's no reason to think that that's not going to happen, right? Like that, it's such a mind-boggling situation in that situation. But it's, hey, in those intense final zone fights, if you're in Tony's shoes, it's hard to make that choice. It really is. Like, you're not going to find yourself in that kind of a fight every day. You're not going to find that in practice really hardly at all. You're not going to find that, you know, in your normal games, and ranked isn't really firing at the moment because we're in preseason. So it's like, how do you even prepare for a situation like that? You kind of just can't, right?
Yeah, you really can't. And one factor we're missing here is that imagine the comms between these two guys right now. Imagine what Mizra and Tony are saying in that exact moment. It's not just simple of, it's probably a clash of, I'm going to go in and take this versus, no, I need to be res, you can't take this fight. And it's just probably clashing ideals. I don't think this was a very cohesive at the very end. Like, do you feel like Tony is the weaker person there? He has a lot of HP to his name. He did have less mastery by the end of it, but he's not weak in the slightest. Security Growl was on cooldown, but I don't know. It's a hard one. It's a really hard situation to evaluate.
I really think Tony could have ended up winning that. I know Adriana and Yuki don't have the, like, it's not the most favored matchup for Yuki, but I feel like if he had just ended up fighting it, there's a good chance he would have won that fight. He was down in mastery though. And one more thing I want to point out in that final zone situation, as soon as as soon as Miyazori dropped, that was the second that Proster decided to end the alliance, because you cannot be in an alliance at that point, as it is a 1v1v1 situation. Like, that was all conforming to the rules. Like, he had played that perfectly. As soon as it was no longer, you know, a 1v2v1 situation, the friendliness between Lilypetal and Proster immediately ended. So yeah, that was all entirely within the rules, and that was beautifully played by Proster. Proster played that perfectly. I can't get over that. He played that so well.
Yeah, no, I lost my mind over that. I'm sure right now Verse and Proster are screaming of excitement right now. 5 kills, first place after a very rough start and a very rough game 1 here. They actually take it as solo Proster, taking game 2
with 5 kills. That was
crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah, that was insane. So, before we get into game number 3, let's check out the scores, because I'm sure you're dying to see where the current standings are after that insane game number 2. So let's switch over to that right now. Currently in first place, we have Tony and Miyazori. It's no surprise. They got second place 2 games in a row with really, really good kill counts in both games. 58 points, a nice lead for our Kathy and Yuki duo. In second place, we have Shousei and Nazimi. They got third and second. Sorry, I forgot that. I think it was Fakula that ended up getting second place because they ended up dying to zone in that weird first game situation. So they got third and second. It's basically the same thing. In second place, we currently have Shousei and Nazimi. With 45 points, it didn't matter that Shousei went down early in that game, because Nazimi ended up surviving all the way to the final square, getting, I believe, 4th place and a couple kills along the way too. So they're still up there with 45 points, but skyrocketing up from sort of a pretty good but not amazing first game performance is a Verse and Proster, who took game number 2 in first place with 42 points. They're currently 3rd overall. And in 4th, we currently have Fenghua and Fakula, who've been doing consistently fairly decently with 25 points. Feast Stratus and Lilypetal with 17. Celeste and Homecoming with 16. Gally and Burning Z with 14. In 8th place, we have Piemaster and Tier 98, who are kind of struggling to find the mid-game fights that they're winning. They've been doing very well in the early game, but can they push it to the mid to late game? That remains to be seen. Piemaster and Tier 98 with 12 points. And in 9th, we have Cure and BBJ with 10. It's still anyone's game, guys. There's 3 games left. That's a huge number of points still on the table. It's anybody's game. Tom, how do you feel about game 3 coming up?
I would kind of like to not be admitted to the ER after this. Can you guys not give me a heart attack? Thank you so much. God, you guys have been playing out of your mind today. You truly brought your A game. And now that we have all of our original competitors are back, Celeste and Michael Udall are back into the original slots, we are going to be seeing the true potential of all of these teams. Kior was struggling a little bit with BBJ in the game 1 and 2, but now he has his original practice partner back, Michael Udall, who you originally qualified with. I'm expecting to see a lot come out from these guys in the following games. The Hots boys are ready to represent. But man, I just can't get over that game. My goodness. I could be here all day talking about this. That was so crazy. I'm sure Lily's very upset about this, by the way. The 5, the absolute sadness she must have had after just sitting there, taking Mizori out, and then just instantly Proster just takes an auto attack. Like, thank you, I'll take that.
Yeah, just like, whoop. Man, thanks for all the help, and see ya, and kicks her off the final square. That was I can't get over it. That whole entire situation was crazy. I would love to just like play it back over and watch it like again. Like I want to go back through and check out that final score because everything that happened there was just mind-bending and how crazy it was. Also, we do have Michael Udall back in the match. BBJ subbing back out, Michael Udall coming back in. Whatever obligation he had, he has, you know, cleared it up. He's here for games 3, 4, and 5. So I am really looking forward to seeing Cure and Michael come with something really crazy because they, again, they were destroying their semis group. I don't know exactly what I think they got first place out of the group, but I'm not 100% sure. But they demolished their semis group. So I'm curious to see with Michael back on the team how they end up doing in games 3, 4, and 5. But yeah, I also think that Tony and Miazroy have been doing consistently really well. If you want to be paying attention to any team and like anticipating how they're going to do, I think Tony and Miazroy, they're the team to watch because they've been the most consistent so far, getting a lot of kills, getting really good placement. They're looking really good. Like all of their team fights have been really, really clean. Seeing that beautiful combination of Miazroy with the double person suture threads, just like threading the needle and catching both players. Beautiful, beautiful placement on that. And also Tony with a beautiful follow-up. He presses R at just the right time, which, I mean, Yuki players, it don't look better than that. Like that is what you want to see out of Yuki, getting those nice 2-man ults, dashing and doing all that damage. You should really be keeping your eye on them. Also, again, we saw a huge improvement after Celeste came back. No shade to Pikachu or anything, but like their practice that they had put in, like Celeste and Homecoming, they had been practicing together. And now that Celeste is back on the team, we already saw a huge improvement in game number 2. They picked up 4 kills. They didn't end up getting great placement, but they got 4 kills, and that was really, really good.
We're definitely seeing the like synergy between Homecoming and Celeste. The way that the practice actually come into fruition, even if it was the exact same composition he ran of Pikachu, it's just not the same. You have a certain style of comms, you know exactly how your partner's gonna play, you know exactly what they're gonna do at all times since you have so much practice with them. It's not the same as if, you know, you just bring in another person playing the exact same strategy and just hope it works. It really isn't. And hopefully we can see that coming out from game 3 with these guys, because man, game 2 was really exciting to watch from Homecoming Celeste there. They did have the fortunate demise to reverse a Proster over in Cemetery, but I think this time these guys are ready to go here.
Yeah, for sure. And another thing that is kind of standing out to me is that we're seeing both of our Hedgen players on Shuriken. This is one of those things that in practice yesterday, we were watching, I think it was I was watching Averse and Broster doing their practice yesterday, and I think I saw Averse playing Bow. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he's playing Bow, at least when I saw him practicing, and it wasn't really looking the best, but he switched over to Shuriken and he's already finding a lot more success. Remember, Shuriken Hedgen deals way more damage in duos than Bow Hedgen. We're at 97% damage dealt and taking even less damage at 105%. No, sorry, I'm wrong. They're dealing 105% damage, which is like way above what Bow Hedgen is doing right now, and taking even less than the base damage as well. So like Shuriken Hedgen does a ton of damage. You do have to sort of trade off having a worse sort of statted weapon overall and potentially a worse weapon skill to get those really, really good damage modifiers. That's one of those really big things that you should be paying attention to when it comes to evaluating these duo characters.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Caltrops is definitely a very fine skill, but in comparison to the bow skill, it just gives you like an extra avenue of just being really safe. Lets you farm more effectively. You get a farm from a massive radius, and just gives you a little bit extra damage throughout the burst and consistent trades that you're gonna have, especially with characters like Adriana and Hedgen. I mean, these characters are not exactly killing you one full rotation, especially when you're going Hedgen. You're kind of doing it over time until you can put them in the burst threshold, and then just go into the Charm and the Nomad, the ultimate, the cocktail parties. Oh, Udall is getting incredibly low here.
Bursted by Homecoming and Celeste, just one fell swoop. He will end up going down. We were talking about Udall just now coming back, and he has already unfortunately found a very untimely demise at the hands of Homecoming and Celeste. Homecoming with the Loyal and Zara and the Straight Jacket Sneakers already finished, looking very powerful at the moment. We've seen him struggling to finish a weapon in generally being at green dual swords at this point in the game, but nope. It doesn't matter. A beautiful stun into a coup de grace, and Cure and Michael Udall will both go down to Homecoming and Celeste. A good kill pickup here at the start of the middle round, round number 3.
My goodness, we are definitely seeing some really nice loot distribution coming down from Homecoming and Celeste here. Generally, Celeste would have been on an Imperial Crown at this point, but it looks like they deviated into Avenue, potentially seeing noise and getting Udal throughout the transition. But Homecoming being kind of a monster right now, the Liger and Czar and the Straight Jacket Sneakers kind of crushing it. Also, wait, we had a composition switch up here. I didn't even notice this. How did I miss this? We have a Shoichi. We have Fanghua on the first Shoichi of the finals. Oh, that'll make my day.
Tom, this is you're supposed to have the Shoichi sensor. I'm not the one who's supposed to talk about the Shoichi. That's you, buddy. Fanghua switching over to Shoichi, going off of the Adela and finding well the shady businessman that is Shoichi, bringing him out in the finals. The first one we've seen so far, and honestly the first one we've seen kind of in a while in duos play. How do you feel about Shoichi in duos? Because I honestly don't have a whole lot of experience with Shoichi in duos. Wait, no, hold that thought. Homecoming and Celeste, they got another catch over onto Free Shadows. Here comes the head to toe. Here comes the blank cartridge. Free Shadows activating the what is it? The checkmate in order to negate that gigantic root. But now we have the steady shot in a tight corridor, going to be forced to eat all that damage. But Free Shadows opting to dash over into the research zone in order to get away. A very smart move, a good heads up move in order to de-aggro Homecoming and Celeste.
Yeah, we're seeing the issue come down here. What happens when you're not able to group with your teammate very early? Actually caught in the transition to trying to group up with Lilypetal there, but being forced off by Homecoming and Celeste. And we're seeing just, they're completely dominating Avenue. They're just not letting anybody walk into this massive zone. And this is kind of a zone that you see a lot of teams walk through, try to pick off the boxes on the side, try and get a few food or materials to help them like snowball their whatever they're doing at the moment.
Oh, Free Shadows.
They're not letting anybody go in. And God, Free Shadows is getting bullied on again. We're seeing Fakula and Fanghua going in. Oh no, the missed dash from Shoichi is not gonna help out, but the Q2 is gonna drop down. We're gonna see the reset come down, and Free Shadows is gonna drop. Unfortunately, just, man, running away from one team into another is not gonna be... Oh, man, you feel so bad for Free Shadows right now.
I gotta say though, Fanghua and Fakula are giving me one of the best tutorials I have ever seen in my entire life. If you ever in your life wondered if you should take consoles in zones, the answer is yes, because they had the console in school, they were able to see Free Shadows going over into that area. Also, I want to point out, Shadows pivoted over into Emma instead of what was Isol in the last two games, and will end up picking up Lilypetal. That was a beautiful polymorph there, a nice combo coming out of Nazimi as well. Lilypetal, unfortunately, will end up falling in one fell swoop to Shousei and Nazimi. Remember, they were on Isol in the first two games, but it didn't work out because they ended up meeting Homecoming and Celeste in game number 2 in Temple, and as an adaptation, they switched over to Emma instead. A good adaptation. This is why, in my opinion, this is what separates good players from great players, good teams from fantastic teams, is the ability to adapt on the fly, to bring multiple strategies in the event that you end up running into a bad matchup early on. You're gonna instead just choose situations where you can switch over to other characters and just avoid their route altogether. And that's exactly what we are seeing out of Shousei and Nazimi. Nicely done there. And it's already paying off for them. They've already gotten a kill.
Yeah, they're looking pretty nice right now. If you look at their builds, the Zahimi's practically full build, even staying on a Cabana, and Jiaozhe really just only missing to get off those repaired slippers and the crown. Needs to get that Imperial crown online. But this is going to be a super heavy poke composition. These are two very safe characters, even if they're very low on HP overall. They can kind of just control a fight and dominate the entire time. But wait a second, there is going to be Pie Master 298 here, which I believe is going to be their worst matchup in the entire lobby. Like we just mentioned, they don't have a lot of HP, so if they get chain CC'd once, they're going to drop. They have to be very careful here.
Yeah, they've been having a little bit of trouble with those giant CC combos, ending up dropping in against, I don't remember who killed them off last game, but it was an Adela, I'm pretty sure. And if they get caught again by Shousei and Nazimi, that would be really rough. They were the ones who took them out in game number 1, but that was with, you'd mentioned it in game number 1, the Isol sort of trap bush that they accidentally walked into. So unless they can run into an Isol bomb that Emma puts down, I don't think that's going to be the issue they're going to run into this game as well. We do have Homecoming and Celeste putting the chase onto Shousei and Nazimi. They smell blood. They want more. Both of them on just the patch robe, unable to finish their EOD suits. We have Shousei and Nazimi. Oh, but they're not fooling anybody. They were hiding in a bush, but Homecoming knew exactly exactly where they were with the beautiful dual swords rampage. The second activation, though, will tag nobody. And I just blinked and Homecoming and Celeste disappeared off my screen. They dropped to Xiaosei and Nazimi. The checkmate, dealing so much damage and making sure Nazimi stayed alive and away from harm and not getting tagged by Homecoming there with the coup de grace. Nicely done by Xiaosei and Nazimi.
I'm curious to see what exactly happened there. I mean, we are seeing Homecoming and Celeste. They're both staying on Panther ropes. They don't have the EODC like you just mentioned. They're still waiting to get their items online. But we saw, they clearly knew that Xiaosei and Nazimi were in that bush. They saw them. The Homecoming ran in with the dashing gentleman. He threw down the rampage immediately. But was that just overconfidence? Was that just thinking this is a fight you could possibly take without really having proper information? What exactly went down there, guys?
I think that that was the proper engage. I think that they had, you know, they knew they were in that bush. Honestly, I loved the aggression coming out of Homecoming, dashing gentleman into the bush, followed up with the dual swords rampage. Like, that was perfectly engaged, in my opinion. Did a ton of damage immediately. The issue came with what happened next. We have Adela, who's a character who can kind of respond with a ton of damage. If your big combo does not involve a lot of hard CC, you're gonna still leave them the room to combo you back. Adela, I believe, comboed onto Celeste, and then that sort of locked Celeste out of the fight for a bit. And then, you know, Homecoming tried to follow it up with the second activation of Dual Swords Rampage, tried to get the coup de grace afterwards, but at that point, we already had Nazimi in checkmate, where they're invincible and unable to take damage while still able to output quite a lot when it finishes. That's just a rough situation to be in. Is that just a matchup issue? It could be. It might just be. If you're playing a very bursty character and you're playing as someone who has iframes, you shouldn't be surprised when suddenly they iframe your burst. Like, that's just something that happens in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you're in such a tight corridor between the car and the wall there. Nazimi has full range to just set up every pawn and knight, rook, everything, and just get the checkmate on top of them. And just, man, that damage we saw turned the fight on tech, nearly doing like half of their health there. And that is kind of what happens when you have such an explosive matchup between, well, 4 burst mages going in against each other. And right now, this game is very similar on par and pace as the last match. 12 players remaining, and this time is not a bunch of stragglers walking around. We're seeing Team 1 is eliminated. 5 and 6 completely eliminated. No stragglers this time around.
Miyazori gets caught by Burning Z and Gali Gali. He tries to cloak and dagger away, but he's not going to be able to. Miyazori goes down. Oh my god, that is why it is so important that if you're going to be TPing at all in team modes, you cannot be staggering your TPs. You have to be TPing with your full team at the exact same time. Otherwise, you're going to find situations like that where Tony had already TP'd out, but Miyazori was still there and did end up getting caught. That is a heartbreaker. That is absolutely tragic for Miyazori and Tony in that situation. That just feels bad, man.
Yeah, that's going to be really feels bad. But if you look at what happened last game, maybe this is Tony's turn. Maybe Tony's gonna find a friend this time around. Just need to get one more straggler on the map, and he could potentially do what Proster did last match and do the impossible and take out everybody and win the game. You know what? After last game, I have complete hope that even our straggling Yuki player can come back and make it to the very end.
Ooh, it looks like Proster and a verse might be getting Wick for free. She just wandered right into their tiny little area that no one is here to contest in. Nazimi and Xiaosei coming down the bridge. Keep in mind, Proster and a verse, they're not playing auto attackers. Generally speaking, auto attackers with lifesteal, they're the ones who are really good at taking Wick line, especially since she has a lot of max HP in these team modes. And if you aggro her, she's going to end up wandering the opposite direction after she resets. So it's not looking good necessarily for a verse and Proster to get Wick for free. Now, can Xiaosei and Nazimi be the ones who take it? That also remains to be seen, as Wick is sort of wandering away from all of the teams right now. And if a fight breaks out, I think that the team that's not involved directly in the fight may be the team that gets Wick anyways. This is a really weird dance to play. Like, I'm sure everyone has fought this sort of Wick fight a billion times and kind of hates it. Like, it's not a very fun fight, especially knowing that if you're the stronger one in the situation, you end up getting into a fight with someone else, and then some like random rat or rat team just comes by, takes your Wick, and it's just like, come on, man, I was fighting for that thing. Why'd you have to come and take my objective?
Or even worse, a lot of these guys, if they want to commit to this wick line, they tend to take a lot of damage. These are all very squishy characters right now. You don't really have like a tank, you know, like a Hyun Woe here to tank all that damage for you. So if you overcommit to this wick line, you can drop very low and easily get third party. But right now, this is probably going to end up in a coin flip situation between Nazimi, Xiaozhe, and Reverse and Procer. This wick line is down to 1700 HP. It's chasing onto Procer and Reverse right now, so they're going to have some potential to kite it out. But now it's being re-aggroed back to the beach, and we're going to see, oh, it goes down to Nazimi's and Xiaozhe's team. Now, the question is, who is going to secure the materials? We did see a Verse drop the cow traps onto wick line, and it's also going to go into Nazimi and Xiaozhe. So, you know, these guys are incredibly happy, especially when you're playing these poke mages. Especially right now, as they're looking really strong. They're on 3 kills.
Tony's getting caught by Piemaster and Tier 98. They will be picking up their first kill of the match. Tony does end up going down. That does mean that Miyazuri and Tony will be dropping in, I believe that's 6th place right here in the 3rd round. That is an unfortunate placement. They were doing very well so far in the overall standings, currently in 1st place, if I'm not mistaken. So dropping here, right now, is not what you want to see if you are trying to secure that 1st place. Miyazuri was very close to running that back-to-back ERCL victories, which would have been kind of insane, honestly. If we had started out the ERCL and the first 2 events were both won by the same person, that would be, I mean, it would be unprecedented because there's no tournaments before it, but you know what I mean? Like, it would be an insane beginning to the ERCL. It's not over yet for Miyazuri and Tony, but if they wanted to keep that momentum going, if they wanted to widen that gap between them and other teams, this was the game to do it. This was the game to make it an insurmountable lead, and they did end up dropping. It all started with that one unfortunate TP, and they are going to be kicking themselves for that in the future. Tyr and Piemaster, can they win in a head-on fight against Gali and Burning Z? I don't quite know. We've seen this engagement before, but it was more in the early game. We're seeing a lot more traps from Burning Z. He's just throwing double guillotines out like it's candy. He doesn't even care that he's got them. They're just falling out of his pockets, man. He doesn't even care.
Yeah, I think that matchup is going to be really hard for Team 7 here. Tier 98 and Piemaster, while they do have a lot of crowd control and burst in their kit, the problem here is they have to get to the giant wall, the behemoth that is Burning Z. He has 3,500 HP. This man is not going to drop very easy. I'm pretty sure you can tank nearly your full combo and live. Gali does have the Laurel Reef already. He pretty much has everything that AR ISO wants, and we saw earlier, he just has a lot of traps to his name. If he's able to throw him off that...
Absolutely gorgeous pull by Piemaster onto our Shoichi player, Fanghua. Fanghua dropping down to just about 270 HP, trying to get away in the situation. Tier 98 is low as well, but Piemaster's full HP practically. But wait a second, are they both gonna get away in this situation? Also, keep in mind, we have Nazimi and Xiaozhe coming up from behind, trying to get in on the action, trying to see what they can clean up in the situation. Tier 98 and Piemaster are trying their best to end up, you know, securing the kills on Fanghua and Fakula. Fanghua finding a comfortable little place to hide. Can Piemaster and Tier 98 get the read on their location? It doesn't look like it. Oh Tom, they're so close to getting a kill right there, and they're not gonna get it after all.
Nighttime vision playing a massive role there. Fanghua picking a spot where you really have to check pretty deep tips to actually find him. But since he just was very patient, didn't move, didn't make any sound whatsoever, they were just gonna TP and let him live. They easily could have taken him out there had they saw him. And he's actually gonna get the TP on the beach or on the pond right on top of Fakula. So they're gonna be regrouping, and this is gonna go back into a cat and mouse chase here. We see Piemaster Tier 98 going back for the chase, but
there's a long fight.
Gonna happen there.
Hold on, there's a long fight happening between Burning Z, Gali, and Nazimi and Xiaozhe. Burning Z and Gali are being forced to go into the red as they got sort of quartered off into the bottom side of Forest with nowhere to run. Didn't matter that they had double guillotines down. Nazimi and Xiaozhe had plenty of cameras to try and counter them. They were able to see all those traps and remove them at their convenience. Gali and Burning Z burning half of their timers each, which is, you know, in total, that's a lot of timer to lose. We saw in that first round how important your timer is in those final situations, so it's gonna be rough from here on out for Burning Z and Gali. You have Fanghua and Fakula over here in school, getting potentially sandwiched between Tier 98 and Gali and Burning Z. We're seeing the burn to a crisp being dropped by Burning Z, a very appropriate name for that skill. And Fanghua dodging the okay, Fanghua's been pulled one too many times in this game and is trying to just get away, but will go down to the beautiful ultimate from tier 98. Piemaster and Fanghua gonna be clashing for, the second time this game, and it will end up going to Piemaster and tier 98 officially this time. But keep in mind, Fakula also goes down to Xiaosei and Nazimi.
Yeah, very unfortunate coming down from tier 9 there. Fakula and Fanghua just really trying to find their ground and secure a position as their own. But what ends up happening is after the initial engagement with Piemaster and tier 98, they're forced into other zones where people already have console cameras down. They have vision of them at all times, and they're just forced into terrible position after terrible position until they inevitably just sadly dropped here. And guys, what we're seeing right now is there's only gonna be 3 zones left on the map. All on the right side of the map, we're seeing Avenue, Pawn, and Hospital here, and we potentially are gonna see an engagement between Nazimi, Xiaozei, Burning Z, and Gali Gali over here. Gali Gali does have the operational mind set up, but the thing is, Nazimi and Xiaozei still does have like around 15% of that wick line uptake still there. So definitely don't want to take a fight against 2 really strong control mages when they have the wick line up. You are just asking for disaster.
Yeah, honestly, the Adela burst is it's daunting, man. Like I've seen Adelas just do insane things in this game so far, and also keep in mind, like you just mentioned, they've got that wick buff too. Why even take the risk at that point if you know that this team is so strong because they have a lot of kills, because they have good mastery, because they have Adela who has such potent ranged burst, and they have the wick buff? It's not worth it. You just move on. You stall, you go for the late game fight. It's going to be a hospital final zone. That's a pretty wide open zone where really anyone can end up on top. So hey, why force the fight now? Why force the fight in an unfavorable situation? You might as well wait for later. And that's exactly what we're seeing. Also, Piemaster and tier 98, they're going to get the respawn on the bears, so they do get that extra little bit of loot, that extra little bit of farm. We do also have Gali Gali and Burning Z. Most of our teams are in this top side of hospital. One of the more congested areas as you do this gigantic, what is the ambulance right here? Or even, is it even an ambulance? I don't know, actually I think it might be a mail truck. Either way, it doesn't matter. Point is, it's very congested. There's not a whole lot of room to navigate. And if all 3 of our teams end up over here, it might be a situation where Gali Gali and Burning Z get sandwiched between multiple teams. But no, it's actually Averse and Proster taking control of the console. That is one of the other main objectives in the zone, because this will be the final square right here around the console, as it is in every zone. Piemaster and tier 98 opting to go around, and this may be a huge mistake as Xiaosei and Nazimi, they're already set up in this bush with pendulum axes.
Yeah, the pendulum axes are coming down, but also Nazimi is starting to prep the promotions down to get the queen. So they're really going to force Piemaster and tier into zone no matter what. They don't have anywhere they can go. They can't run back into a hyperloop. They need to walk into the zone. And while the wick line did time out, we are going to see some of the pokes start coming down, but not a lot of damage. They're actually going to opt to not full engage here, which is really just a heads up play here, because you know what's going to happen if you take the heads up fight. There's going to be a third party. There's going to be a fourth party. And right now it is just a poke war pretty much between everybody. Piemaster and tier 98 securing the bush as their own. And we're going to see Semtex Bomb dropping down to Averse here, but no, Charmin Nomad going to get him out of that situation for free. And now we're looking for Nazimi and Xiaozei to secure that final zone. Are we going to see a repeat of game 1 here? I don't really think so.
This is about to be an explosive final square. We only have about a minute left until all 4 of our fully alive teams are going to have to rush into this final square. Keep in mind, we mentioned this earlier, Burning Z and Gali Gali. Oh wait, hold on. They might actually be committing to this fight. If they do end up doing so, that will put all of these teams in a disadvantage because every other team on the map will try to come over here and third party. Proster and Averse. Oh, he got away. No way, man. Okay, excuse me, more professional. I cannot believe that Averse got away from this situation. I thought for sure that he was going to get pulled into a silence coming out of Piemaster, but no, he did end up getting out. That was a gorgeous play by Averse. Nicely done getting out in that situation. Oh, the double mock mine from Gali Gali, just shredding Proster and Averse right there. Nicely done. But now Nazimi is also here to make sure that Averse and Proster are in the worst possible position. All of these teams are sort of shuffling back to the final square because in 20 seconds, this will be the only safe place to be in this final square.
Yeah, and the biggest issue here is that Piemaster and Tier did not exactly on-poke characters, and they tanked a lot of time earlier when dealing with Nazimi and Xiaozei. So they're going to be forced to fight this sooner than later, and they're really in the worst position possible here. Not a lot of poke. Their composition was kind of scaled down. They're going to be forced out of the zone immediately and taking what little timer they have left. We're going to be seeing the trap drop down from Gali Gali. Nazimi going in with the checkmate.
Ooh, if you use your checkmate like that, you are in a vulnerable position for the rest of this fight. That is your big get out of jail free card, and you popped it rather early. Nazimi gets hooked in by Piemaster. But keep in mind, Piemaster and Tyr do not have a lot of time to work with, but then again, neither does really anybody else. This is an absolutely chaotic final area. We're seeing Proster and Averse trying to play passive in the bush as we see a beautiful combo coming out of Nazimi onto Tyrmaster and Pi. Or Tyr and Piemaster. Also, on the left side, Xiaosei goes down to a beautiful combo by Proster and Averse. Gali ends up getting the kill, though, with that Mock Mine and traps. Piemaster goes down. It's just our final two, Averse and Proster versus Gali and Burning Z. Neither of these teams have timer. Oh, the root onto Proster, the Semtex bomb does end up exploding Proster with very little HP to work with, but the beautiful fear and combo onto Gali, but no, he dashes away. He's trying his best with a Rebel Assault, though. It's not going to matter. Averse ends up falling, and Burning Z and Gali take round number 3 here in the ERCL Duos Finals. Wow.
My goodness, that final circle was crazy. I mean, we saw that fight start off right away with Burning Z getting a burnt to a crisp on 2 full teams there. He took half HP from everybody right off the get-go. And throughout that timing, we saw Gali able to just secure the zone as his own and just place trap after trap after trap, making it really difficult for anybody to come back in here.
Yeah.
And especially during a long fight, the Assault Rifle skill Overheat finally activated, and once it went off, Gali was going to town.
It was, like you mentioned, it was trap after trap after trap. That is why ISIL, if you are prepared, if you bring the traps, if you bring all of those materials into that final square, it's a tiny area. You don't have a lot of places to be. You're kind of forced to be in that square, or else you're going to die to the zone. That's just the way the game works. And in that situation, he's dropping trap after trap. In addition to his ultimate, the Mock Mines are doing a ton of work, shredding defense, dealing a bunch of true damage, up to like 450 true damage or something in a giant area. No one wants to fight the ISIL, because the ISIL stealths away. That's not a fun fight. No one wants to deal with that. No one wants to aggro the Shukai either. Burning Z and Gali, they played that perfectly. They ended up with 6 kills first place. Gorgeous play by them. In second place, they didn't get any kills, but it doesn't matter. They got placed, and we have Averse and Proster. 0 kills second place. Nicely done by them as well. And in third place, I think I said Tyrmaster in that fight. I don't even care, man. Like, they played it really well in that situation. The gorgeous hook onto Nazimi, I think it was. Nicely done by them as well. Third place with 2 kills. But here's the real highlight to me. In fourth place, it doesn't feel like they got fourth because their kills are so high. In fourth place, we had Xiaosei and Nazimi with 5 kills between them. Beautifully done by them as well. All 4 of our final teams that made it there to the final square, they did wonderful. Like, legitimately, all 4 of those teams did fantastic. And that is, we mentioned this earlier, that is not a situation you can ever really prep for. You don't see that kind of final square on ladder. You don't see that in in-houses pretty much at all. These are very conservative early, okay, they're not even conservative early games, because the second game was just insanely like bloodthirsty action that ended up with a bunch of solos. None of these games have been the same. The first game, no one died early game, and then it was a crazy end game. The second game, everyone died early, and then it was a bunch of solos running around trying to do what they could with what little they had. And in the third game, there were no solos. It was all full teams. We had 4 final teams in that final square, and they were just full. They were like completely alive. How do you prepare for this? Tom, how do you prepare for this? It's always different.
I don't think you can. You can't prepare for that final zone. With 4, you have such an open area as possible. You really only have one safe zone, that is the bush. I mean, we can go through that final square a million times, but what it really came down to is, for one, Piemaster's his composition, they fell flat. At the end of that game, there's not really a whole lot you can do. You don't have the range, you don't have the traps, you really go for this early game pick composition, and while it worked out, it doesn't really go into that late game, especially when you have to deal with an ISIL with a million traps. You have to deal with such long range poke mages with Hedgen and Emma and Adriana. There's really no way you get out of that. They're as good as dead. From there, we saw the late game bomb that is Burning Z with the beautiful burn to the crisp at the very end there. It was crazy. It really always comes down to it's all situational.
Absolutely.
You can try and play the best you can, but you can never truly prepare for 4 people being alive. It could have been one other team. You never know.
Absolutely, man. I completely agree. You cannot prepare for those situations, but we do have the scores ready. So let's check that out right now. Currently in first place, They've swooped back up into the first place. I don't think they were in it. Hang on, let me check what were the scores in round 2. Okay, so yeah, they have taken back their first place title. Currently in first place, we have Xiaosei and Nazimi with 69 points. Nicely done by them. In second place, we have Tony and Miazroy with 63 points, just barely behind them by only about 6 points. And behind them by only about, well, 7 points is Averse and Proster in third place with 56. Very good results so far from these 3 teams, but even closer behind them is Gali and Burning Z with 50 points. Like, that was a huge game from them. They were not in that top 3 before. They were in 7th at the beginning of round 3. They had 14 points. They are currently with 50 points in 4th place. That is a huge game. That is a huge swing for Burning Z and Gali. There are 4 teams with over 50 points right now. It is still absolutely anybody's game. It doesn't matter if game 1, 2, and 3 sucked for you. It doesn't matter if you're currently with, 10 points, 20 points, 25. It doesn't matter. You could have a great game in these last 2 games and shoot up in the ranking past absolutely everybody and at least make it into the top 3. And there's still 2 games left, so it's still absolutely anybody's game.
I absolutely love looking at the standings right now, because looking at first place, let's get a little bit of a blast from the past. In the ERCS, Xiaozei had a very rough performance. He was not doing very hot, and now he is currently first place in teams. But some people just aren't really solo players. Sometimes people just play really well in teams, and he's always been an ISO player. So seeing his ISO performance come out and just shine today in the finals is so heartwarming, and especially Nazimi as well. I mean, do you guys know who Nazimi is? I mean, I'm sure if you look at the ladder, you'll see who he is. A lot of the top players know who he is, but he's not exactly a very vocal player within the community. He doesn't talk a whole lot. He kind of keeps to himself, and he really is just an insane player. So seeing these 2 crazy guys come together and put on such an amazing performance today, it makes me so excited, because it's not who you expect. Right? A lot of people from Chapter probably like Averse Proster, Homecoming Celeste. A lot of the fan favorites, a lot of the people that they love in the community, but never the quiet ones. And right now, the quiet ones are really coming out and shining right now. But that's not to say that anybody can't take this, right? Your fan favorites can still make it. We still have 2 games left. And man, I'm so excited for these last games. Yeah,
me too. And like you just mentioned, it's anybody's game. We still have 2 rounds left. This is kind of what happens when you have like this caliber of players in this tournament, is that you don't really feel like anyone is being counted out at any point. I really do not care who is in last place. Last place doesn't exist to me in this tournament, because if you're here at all, first of all, you had to get through the most insanely stacked qualifiers and semifinals I've ever seen. Like, there are people who are like, oh my god, my qualifier group is stacked. If your qualifier groups are stacked, what does it say about the tournament? That means that the semis are 3 times as stacked, and that means that the finals are like 9 times as stacked as your qualifier groups. So it's like, you cannot for a second think that even anybody who is here is doing poorly, because you had to play out of your mind over the last week or so to even make it to this event. Additionally, like we just mentioned, there's plenty of games left. It's still anyone's game. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to a quick 5-minute break, and when we get back, we're going to continue on with the final 2 rounds of the ERCL Duos Finals. So what that means is that you shouldn't go anywhere. You should stay right here on this channel. You're getting free drops anyway, so might as well, right? Go to the bathroom, get some snacks, get comfy, because we're gonna come back and we're gonna wrap up the ERCL Duos Finals. So we'll be right back. Welcome back to the ERCL Duos Finals event. We are pretty much ready to get into rounds 4 and 5 to wrap up the ERCL Duos. But before we get into those games, which should be starting pretty soon, before we get into that, I want to give a couple of quick announcements. We are going to be continuing the ERCL. This is obvious. This is not something that's a secret or anything, but I want to clarify. We're going to be continuing the ERCL starting next weekend. We're going to be putting up the signups for the squads event. If you would like to participate in ERCL squad events, head on over to the ERCL Discord. Over there, the signup is going to be posted there probably next Saturday around 4 p.m. PST in the announcements channel. So if you want to join these events, remember they're open to everybody. It's an open format. Head on over to the ERCL Discord and you can join that too. We've already had 2 pretty awesome events and we're wrapping up the duos one right now. Next up is going to be squads. So if you do have a couple of friends, or maybe, hey, even if you're just a solo player, you want to find some people to get together, you know, lab out some strategies and come compete on the main stage, then by all means go sign up for that. Aside from that, we are over here in the ERCL Duos, which means it's time to sort of wrap things up. It's time to conclude this major tournament. There is big money on the big money on the line for these players. They're all competing for a chance to take that cash home for themselves. Already we've had players like me already taking home a sizable chunk of cash in that solo victory position. We also had, you know, players like Gobu who didn't quite make it to the finals today, but he also got a nice little bit of a payout from that the solo finals event that took place a couple of weeks ago. So if you want to make a little bit of extra money, you want to flex your skills a little bit, come join the ERCL. We'd love to have you. Tom, it's time to get into round 4. How excited are you? Because me personally, these have been some pretty insane games. The ERCL duos in general has had some of the most insane games, finishes, everything I've ever seen in Eternal Return. How do you feel about games 4 and 5?
I mean, personally, I've never been much of a teams player, but I think I'm gonna probably queue up some duos after this tournament because I am excited.
Me too, man. I want to play some duos.
Oh, well, I'm just saying. Hey. You need a friend.
I'm down.
But we haven't really seen this type of level of play ever. This is the first league that we've ever seen for Eternal Return. These guys have been practicing and talking about how good they are since day one. Now they finally have been able to put their skills to the test, and we are seeing it at full force here. Yeah. Different strategies coming out left and right. Not really shakeups in terms of character selection. We've been seeing different styles of gameplay every single match. Game 1 with the trap as final zone domination. Game 2 with the insane pacing of everyone just dying. This solo finish, the crazy final circle. Game 3 with 4 teams still alive at the very end, and who knows what game 4 is going to bring us. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near like the first 3 games. I'm excited to see what we got going on today, guys. This is going to be really exciting.
I am super excited too. Also, yeah, I will take you up on that offer. You want to play some duos after this? Or maybe sometime over the next week or so. I'm super down. Seeing these players compete in duos makes me really happy. I'm a big duos fan myself. I mean, I played in the Lumia Mania Duos event. I loved that event. That was a lot of fun. By the way, again, shout out to the Lumia Mania guys. Shout out to Wisdom Media for hosting the scaz tournament yesterday. That was a ton of fun. I also have played in a couple other Duos tournaments too. I grinded the Duos ladder right before the season, and I love Duos. This is my favorite format in the entire game. I love seeing the creativity coming out of these players. I love seeing the strategies we see out of these players. None of these team comps look the same to me. Not a single team in this tournament went, oh yeah, there's an obvious strategy, we need to play it or we're not going to be able to compete. Everyone is bringing something completely unique compared to someone else. Like, no one is playing Nadine like Lilypetal is right now. No one is playing this hyper farm strategy that we've been seeing from Lilypetal. No one is playing like... No one's playing Kathy. No one's playing, you know, Tony and Kathy's hyper aggro melee strategy that they're running. Like, everybody's game plan is so uniquely different. Like, Piemaster and Tyr, I love their strategy. It's so uniquely them that you really see the expression, the player expression coming out of these players. It gives me like these warm fuzzy nerd feelings inside my chest, seeing that like, all these players, you could cover up all their names. I could perfectly identify who all these teams are just based on who they're playing. Like, it's so uniquely them.
Yeah, these guys have really formulated their own unique gameplay around the very limited like options you have in Lumia Island. You know, you really feel like people say there's not a lot of options going around. You don't have a lot of things you really could do, and that really just comes down to people only talking about in solos. The moment you add one more teammate in there, your options widen so much, and that's only with 2. Wait till you see what happens when we have 3 guys with the ERCL squads. Oh goodness, we're having this happen again. Michael Udall versus Homecoming and Celeste over at Avenue. Udall dropping yet again to Homecoming Celeste. Cure trying to draw the Charmer Nomad to get over the wall. Does not going to happen. Now Celeste is on the chase. But as of recent changes, the bike is not going to be up right away. Now we're going to see a Proster and a Verse coming in on the chase for Homecoming. But Homecoming is going to be safe to walk away here, potentially looking for a re-engagement. Oh no, man. Michael Udall just never able to get out of Avenue in these last couple games. Yeah, I feel really bad for him right now.
Yeah, that is a rough situation to be in. Michael Udall just coming back into these matches after having to sub out for games 1 and 2. And just not finding what he needs. He's crawling away. The question oh no, Michael, okay, God, no! He had such a good chance to get away. I feel like if he had hidden in this corner, like down here, he might have actually gotten away with it. Weirdly enough, like that might have been something that had happened, but no, it looks like it will be Celeste and Homecoming taking out Michael Udall and finishing him as well. I'm sorry, Michael. I really looked forward to seeing competitor Michael back. I loved seeing how aggressive and powerful and dominating Michael and Kira were in the semifinals and the qualifiers, but unfortunately they're just not quite finding that exact same pacing here in the finals, and that's just the thing that happens. Like, sometimes what you were working with in the first few qualifier or semifinals games just doesn't translate to this group. Every group is unique. Every group has its own paths, and if you never dealt with Homecoming and Celeste's pathing before, maybe you didn't realize it was such a threat in that point in the game. You didn't realize that they spiked at that point because you hadn't had to deal with them up until this point.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. I mean, Michael Udall did have issues earlier trying to even get a computer, and now he's apparently having to play at a friend's house. It's really awkward. He's having to adapt to a lot all at once. and it could definitely take a toll on you, especially when you're playing at the highest level possible. But we did see it before, you know, let's not just put it on. The man has played an absolute crazy Zahir to even get here right now, and he still does have one more game to potentially bring it back from where he is and hopefully show us just how dominant his Zahir can be when just given a little bit of that nudge that he's needed right now. Just needs to really get his footing in these games.
Piemaster aggressively chasing on to Homecoming, does get him with the whiplash, but the double coup de grace will land on all of Team 8. Piemaster in tier dropping very low, but Homecoming will end up falling instead. Celeste over on the Sylvia, off of the Aya pick, is trying his best to get away from tier 98 and Piemaster. Will this be? No, it's not looking good. No, Celeste does end up going down. Piemaster and tier 98 finding their early kills as they so often do. It's not even necessarily a matchup difference. Look at the item difference between Homecoming and Celeste. They just are on 3 items each, whereas tier 98 and Piemaster are almost full build. This is what is so good about their team comp. They are consistently getting so much online so early in the game. This is why this team comp is so good, especially in the early game. They can delete somebody while having a massive HP and item advantage.
Yeah, this is like, and we talked about this last week during the semifinals. Like, a character like Lennox is just such a strong early game powerhouse. We saw just her basic abilities were on par with Yuki's early game coup de grace. It didn't matter that he landed it. Well, Lennox landed everything, and that's just gonna put her in a much favorable position.
Tony getting chased down by Fanghua and Fakula. The coup de grace goes out, only catches Fakula. Will Miyazroy be able to come in here and turn it in their favor? We do see the ultimate being dropped for Fanghua. Tony goes down. Remember, this is a team that is in contention for first place. Now down Tony, and it's just up to Miyazroy to get away from Burning Z and Gali Gali, but Fanghua and Fakula, they want Tony out of the game. They do not want to even have a chance for him to revive here in this match. And now Burning Z and Gali Gali will then now take, of course, the opportunity to finish him off instead. Tony does end up falling. And that is going to be a rough start for Miyazroy and Tony. They had a great game 1 and 2, but struggling to find the same momentum here in game 3 and 4. Now Kira, having lost Michael Udall already, will get sniped out by Lily Petal and Free Stratos, and that is another kill going over to Lily Petal and Free Stratos.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate for what we're seeing happen in this game. Like, this pacing is on par with the other games. Day 2, we're seeing already 5 people completely gone. Team 2 and Team 6 just completely annihilated here. And we're seeing a repeat of last match, where, well, instead of Miyazroy being dead, it's now Tony, and Miyazroy off to fend for himself. Definitely a better character for trying to run away and riding out in these situations, but it is always very scary when you're by yourself. A lot of the strategies that Miyazroy is going to want to go for, like contesting that Wickland and getting all of the legendary components, is not going to work out as well here when he has no partner. This is looking very scary for one of the contenders for first place right now.
So one more thing I want to point out that's very important that we haven't really been focusing on this entire tournament, but it's been happening every single game. Please do not interrupt my train of thought. Oh no, there's a fight breaking out between Fakula and Fanghua, of course, and Lily Petal and Free Stratos. We're seeing a couple of pawns getting dropped for Free Stratos, the promotions being dropped. The question is, will they find their mark? It looks like the combo does land against Fanghua. Fakula dropping down to about half HP. Lily Petal with the aggression with the Wolf Assault now activated. Fanghua turning around, trying to go in the bite combo, but the checkmate from Free Stratos just chunking out Fakula. Fakula cannot really handle this insane burst coming out of this team. Now it's up to Fanghua to try and get away. Free Stratos with the rapier skill after the castling. Ooh, a very nice dash onto the board to get away. That will be Fanghua escaping, but they're making a lot of noise. And remember, Lily Petal very low on mana, and Proster and Averse are very close and ready to third party. The Wolf Assault is down. The checkmate for Free Stratos is also down. There are no tools available to team number 5 to fight against Averse and Proster, but also Tier 98 and Piemaster are trying to get in this fight.
Yeah, we're seeing a first drop down the ultimate. Piemaster did get the Whiplash earlier to get him down to this level point. We are seeing Nunchuck still coming down. Blue Viper is also going to drop down and take down Proster. Beautiful team synergy coming down from Piemaster 298 here. Now we're going to see a verse. Charmer nomading out of this school. He said, sorry, Proster, love you, buddy. Did great game too, but I got to leave you for dead here. And we are going to see throughout this entire madness, Fanghua did pick up Fakula back up. Fakula's back in the game.
You're right, actually. That third party into a fourth party situation allowed Fakula and Fanghua to get back together. Fakula, despite being very squishy to begin with, is, you know, alive. We got the auto arms, kind of looking kind of good right now. We are also seeing the glacial shoes on to Fanghua. I have to give a huge shout out to Tier 98 in that fight, doing the impossible, which was making Nunchuck's skill look good. Like, that was an absolutely amazingly timed Nunchuck skill. I mean, what is that thing called? What even is Nunchuck skill? I can't even remember. The point is, like, it is a strange skill. It's a charged skill shot, and it can stun someone if you charge it for long enough. And normally the issue with it is that you're never really going to charge it long enough that you're going to get the stun, because people will hear it, people will see it, and they'll just sidestep it. But since they were in this tiny little hallway, Tier 98 just understood there is no way for Proster to dodge, and that little stun that he got off of that that Nunchuck skill gave Piemaster the ability to land the Blue Viper, the double slash, wham wham, managed to land right on top of Proster, and Proster went down. That was beautifully played by Tier 98 and Piemaster in that fight.
If I didn't say it, to answer your question, it's actually called Breath of the Dragon. I think we just broke the commentator. The commentator cursed out. We broke the barrier. No one else in Eternal Return has ever known the name of this skill, I assure you. Breath
of the Dragon. That is a very intimidating skill name. Ooh, hang on. Xiaosei getting a little bit caught by Burning Z and Gali, but the suck on the change from that hat trick will be doing a lot, but the beautiful burn to a crisp. It's like Xiaosei had really no, oh, what the? Burning Z getting absolutely bursted by Nazimi. A gorgeous combo. It's not going to end up mattering, as Burning Z did get away from the checkmate before it did land, but oh my god, Nazimi. The cleanest combos I've ever seen from any Adela player ever. Almost destroying a tanky, like, full build Shukai in one fell swoop. That was gorgeous Adela play.
Yeah, I mean, the issue there, though, what happened with Nazimi is that when he does go in like that, that is his escape tool as well. He uses only escape, and he uses iframe ultimate checkmate to try and secure the kill on Burning Z. So, wow, the damage was there. He had no way of getting out anymore. I'm very curious to see if he actually thought he could potentially take a 2v1 there if he felt that confident. And throughout all of this, throughout all this madness, Wickland was on the map, and it actually went down to Lily Petal Free Stratos over in Cemetery. These two are going to be looking real strong, especially as they're trying to scale for the late game here, as we already know from Lily Petal's strategy, which is a very hyper funneling of the Nadine, and those components are going to help her try to propel that just a little bit harder. We're seeing a lot of people starting to walk down into dock here. We're seeing Meteor as a standalone, Fanghua and Fakula now entering the zone, and Gali and Burning Z just clearing the zone as their own. If anyone tries to walk too deep into here, they're going to be walking into Burning Z and Gali, which is honestly the last team you really want to walk into. If they have any time to prep anything, you're as good as dead.
So I want to point out the fact that Burning Z, yeah, sure, he doesn't have a ton of stacks, but the thing that he does have is a Bracelet of Scotty and a Queen of Hearts. These are two incredibly powerful pieces of gear, especially for a Shukai. That Bracelet of Scotty, I gotta say, it's probably gotta be best in slot for Shukai for the RM piece, right? Like, I can't think of anything that I would rather have in that slot. It brings max HP, it brings 27 flat amp, that's a ton of flat amp. It's really good. Also, Queen of Hearts, with that 25% CDR, you don't even really need a whole lot of CDR in your kit, but he does. He's capped. He's got 7% off of the Lance of Poseidon. Did you know that Lance of Poseidon had CDR? Most people probably didn't. It's not a weapon you see very often. Also, the Tachyon Brace, giving you that extra 10%, and when you add it all up, yo, that adds up to well over 40%, and as a result, that is a really scary Shukai. It's a Shukai with almost 4,000 HP, but also with full CDR. Averse, getting pressured by Free Shadows and Lily Petal. They are throwing everything out here to get that kill. They do not care that they're dropping down to less than 10 seconds of timer. They wanted to make sure Averse died, and they were going to get the whatever it is that he was carrying on his body. More kills getting picked up by Free Shadows and Lily Petal. This is a team that's been very quiet this entire tournament. They've been very passive. They've been farming it up, but they've got 3 kills this game, which is, well, I gotta say, if you're gonna try and pop off at any point, game 4 is the game to turn it around, because after this point, maybe game 5, there's not a whole lot of room, not a whole lot of points on the table to necessarily come back and break into the top 3 to get that prizing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one thing to know here, and there is a reason as to why Lily Petal Free Shadows tagged that much timer to really get a verse. We mentioned this before, that they're contending for first place right now. You want to take off those teams that, well, You don't want to secure that many points. And right now, despite where it feels like they dropped super late into the game, they dropped in, what, 5th place just now? Versus Tomsorcer, so that is really unfortunate. No kills to their name. They really did not secure many points here.
Ooh.
So Lilypetal and Free Shells, especially with having the Wick line, is going to secure a lot of points to their name right now. And we're seeing the usual passive team right now is potentially going for the aggression. Fanghua getting caught up. The knockup is just barely going to miss. And that might spell the end of the chase here, as the Sylvia does create the wall, just create a little bit of a barrier that Lilypetal and Free Shells can't cross with relative ease.
I loved the idea there. Yeah, sure, it barely missed by a fraction of an inch. It's a hard combo to land. That's why whenever I see Nazemi or Xiaosui, or whenever I see Nazemi pull it off, I'm always just blown away. It is a very precise combo in order to land. Just barely missing it there, but I like the idea. It was a really good, preparation. Got the queen prepared, tried to go in for the combo to catch somebody as they left. Didn't quite connect, but a nice try by Free Shadows and Lilypetal. Okay. We have a chance to catch our break. Let's check, or catch our breath. Let's check the items on our players. How are we doing itemization mastery-wise? Who's currently excelled over the others? Obviously, I don't even have to check. I know Lilypetal has by far the highest weapon mastery because they farmed so much, but also just in general, our items are looking pretty good across the board. We have a Laurel Wreath, we have a Bracelet of Scandi, and a Queen of Hearts for our shoot. Oh wait, hold on. Forget that. We don't need to talk about items. Fakula went down to tier 98 in Pie Master.
That's... Oh no, was that... did that look like a Nation with Hyper? No, it looks like that Fanghua was also with him, but immediately ran away. And again, we're seeing the strength that comes out from Team 7's composition. The chain crowd control coming in again. And these are two very squishy characters that you're running into. Fakula and Fanghua both can't really tank that type of damage for free. So if you get caught up by one of them, you're as good as dead. Really, the only person that can potentially tank that load of front-loaded damage is someone like, well, Burning Z, who is now sitting above the 4,000 HP mark. He is a walking unit. And I love to see it. It feels like a parent escorting their child around. It's like, please stay behind me the entire time. I will not let anything happen to you.
That's a really funny way of putting it. Yes, it does kind of look like a parent escorting their child around. Gally, look, that's a child I wouldn't want to mess with. Isol canonically is like a war criminal or something. Like, I don't know. Dude's kind of... Isol's kind of a scary guy in the canon of the game, and honestly, in the canon of this match, Isol is a scary guy with 2 kills already. And yeah, look, full air Isol, it's essentially, I mean, that's a war crime if I think about it. Like that's really powerful. But Tier 98 and Pie Master, they think they want to fight this. They're charging up the Breath of the Dragon, going for the hook in 2. Wait, hold on, we need to get the hook name also so we can properly describe that little engagement that they got going on. Actually, we gotta come up with like a cute name for that. What is that? The Breath of the Dragon into, what is it? Hold on.
I have no idea what it's called.
I gotta look it up.
Why
Grappling Whip. It is called Grappling Whip. So the Breath of the Whip, my favorite Nintendo game, Breath of the Whip. They're trying to just catch someone out with those, right? They know that if they get the stun, if they get the pull, or even pulling someone into the stun with the Grappling Whip and the Breath of the Dragon, that is going to be essentially a free kill. Because they can follow it up immediately with the Dylan Ultimate. They can follow it up with all the CC, the silence coming out of Pie Master as well. There goes the Breath of the Dragon again. It doesn't find its connection, but hey, I applaud the effort there. Really good try.
Yeah, the problem with that type of bush gank setup is that Breath of the Dragon, even if you have Breath of the Whip coming out along with it, is that it has a massive audio cue. So even if in the bush you can hear him crackling it up, spinning it around him, it's gonna be really hard to hit. You need some preparation into it. You can't really throw it out already, which is why it's kind of usually referred to as one of the weaker weapon skills in the game. And right now, we are seeing a very scary situation at Hotel. Meteoroid having to force into the red zone here, but you only have 5 seconds on timer. Gally and Burning Tea are gonna let him back in. We also see Fanghua just sitting in the bush between the exit of Hotel right now, as Gally is being poked out of the zone by Lilypetal here, who really is kind of just the dominant character. She's sitting here with over 300 stacks. She had Wickland. It did just time out a little while ago, but she is incredibly strong, and now it looks like she's checking the bush with Fanghua's in. Fanghua's gonna be forced to tank some timer, go back around into either back Hotel or into Beach. Gonna opt into going to Hotel, but he's gonna run into a Free Stratos here, and Free Stratos is gonna force him back around again. We're gonna see Cloak and Dagger come out as he starts running towards Beach, but he only has 45 seconds until he's forced back into Hotel, and with no partner to his name, he's gonna be in a really rough situation. But if there's one thing that Shuichi excels at, is being the dirty businessman that he is. The third-party game from Shoichi is devastating. But he has been forced to just kind of rat around for a long time now.
So something that is completely bizarre to me in this entire situation, like you mentioned, there's so many people still here. Miyazuri, with no timer left, just got revealed by Lilypetal. I don't know exactly what the game plan is here for Miyazuri. He's kind of just conceded the fact that he is going to get caught here. He has no timer to work with. He's trying to get a kill on a free shadows before going down. The ultimate over the wall, trying to get away, but runs right into Burning Z and Gally. No, that's an unfortunate position to be in for Miyazuri. Gally and Burning Z now trying to go in for the turn onto Free Shadows and Lilypetal. Okay, you know what? That looked. Oh, we have a beautiful third party by Piemaster and Tier 98. Gally just dropping instantly there with the beautiful ultimate coming out from Tier 98, grabbing him there. In addition to the hook from Piemaster. Oh my god, the grapple whip. He's grappling.
Yeah, we saw the issue there. We saw that the ISO trying to drop his operation mine at the exit, but during the animation of that, we saw Piemaster come in immediately with the grappling whip, says, "You're not setting up anything. I'm actually gonna take your life. Thank you. Appreciate you for playing the game. You're gone now." And that is probably the biggest kill of this entire game right now. This ISO huge. Dropping, and especially going, the items are gonna go for Lilypetal and Free Stratos. If there's any traps on that team, it's going over to Lilypetal right now. But wait a second, we're gonna see Lilypetal face back, Burning Z. Burning Z coming in. Oh no, Lilypetal is gonna drop. The Burning Z is gonna have no cooldowns to his name right now, but like we mentioned earlier, this man is a unit. He has 4,300 HP to work with. It doesn't matter that he sat there and tanked, well, everything. But now we're gonna see Fangwa coming in with the potential third party. We're gonna go in, he has the bottom line, but he's playing very careful right now. He knows he really hasn't been very active this game. He doesn't have the potential to fight right now. He needs to escape, but now that possibly, well, whoever kills Lilypetal is gonna be the arbiter of traps right now.
Oh, an absolutely gorgeous grappling whip by Piemaster there in that situation, grabbing Burning Z as he was trying to get away. That was, oh, he is so clean with it. He has landed so many fantastic hooks in this match so far. Now they know that Lilypetal's here. Now that they know that Lilypetal's gonna go down, this is just a game for Piemaster and Tier 98 to lose at this point. Like, there's no way that they're at a disadvantage. They have gotten, what is this, like 5 kills? That's an insane result so far.
Yeah, 5. Well, no, there's currently 6 kills right now, and they just took down. Well, what happened to Gally? Gally dropped, went to Lilypetal, and here comes the traps that were originally from Gally. You're against 2 solos here. They're clearly in a closer, and Fangwa has just been kind of ratting the entire game. Good luck trying to take out Piemaster Tier 98s now. At last game, they were very upset that they were forced out of the zone. This time, this is their zone to lose. The grappling whip, oh my goodness.
I'm losing it, man. Absolutely gorgeous grappling whips by Piemaster all throughout this round. This is really the Lennox showcase here. Hey, man, if you ever wanted to play a hook-based character in Eternal Return, you should pick up Lennox, because you just saw how insane those grappling whips are when you're landing them every time. GG to Piemaster and Tier 98. Getting the first place placement in round number 4 and 8 kills. This, if they're not in the top 3 after that, if they're not even in first place, I would be shocked. That was a beautiful performance by Piemaster and Tier 98. Oh, guys, just play that every game. I want to watch that every game. This gorgeous play. I loved it.
Yeah, I want to see that again. These guys have been having very consistent getting to the final square, but they've never really been able to secure it because their composition doesn't fall into that. They really want to get those early kills, and we saw it finally work this game. They were able to run into pretty much any team they found and just annihilate them. And Piemaster's A game was here. He just threw out every grappling whip, and it never once failed. He wanted to make up what happened during the semifinals, where he had that final circle miss and just almost took him out of the tournament completely, but now he bought in his A game and he is killing it with Tier 98.
Oh my god. Piemaster and Tier. That was I'm sorry if I'm getting too excited, guys. Like, I don't want to be, you know, like fanboying too much or having too much fun with it. Like, dude, they just like the hooks, he don't miss. Like, he's constantly just slamming those beautiful get over here. Like, he doesn't care. He's hooking everybody and Tier 98 with the beautiful follow-ups every time. They're so clean with it every single time in all these situations. I love it. I would love to see these guys play 20 more games on their A game. Like, I want to see them bring that level of action every single time. Congratulations to Piemaster and Tier 98 taking first place with 8 kills in that round. Nicely done to those two. In second place, we had Fakula and Fanghua with 1 kill, but hey, They've been very consistent this entire time. They are looking pretty good in general. In third place, Free Stratos and Lily Petal with 3 kills, also nicely done going into this round. Burning Z and Gally Gally, they dropped in 4th. It didn't feel like they dropped in 4th, but they did. And they got 4 kills to go. Like, hey, that's not bad either, man. 4th place, 4 kills, that's a lot of points. They were already doing really well. Were they in 1st? No. They were in 4th going into that game. 4th place, 4 kills, that's great. You know, like that is the kind of thing you want to be getting out of this game. And yeah, that's basically it for the highlights of that round. Also, we do have the scores ready. So, hey, or actually we don't have the scores ready, so just kidding. How's your day been, Tom?
Yeah, we got baited, man. What's going on here?
Maybe a little bit. I was told the scores ready. We'll hold off in just a second. But I want to talk more about just sort of what's gonna happen in the scores. Like, we don't, this is a prediction because we don't actually know what the scores are yet. I have a feeling that we're going to see Pie Master and Tier 98 shooting up at least into the top 3, or at least pretty close, because man, they did a great job in that game. 8 kills first place is an enormous amount of points. And I want to point out something else that's really important. Shaosei and Nazimi, Tony and Miyazroy, Averse and Proster, they did not have a great game 4. Like, sure, Miyazroy kind of ratted for placement, did okay. He did not have a fantastic game 4, right? They were the top 3 going into that round. None of them were represented in the final 3 or in the final 4. As a result, there's a good chance that we're going to see our teams that did really well in this round, like Pie Master and Tier 98, or even Burning Z and Gally Gally, because they were already doing pretty good in 4th place. They might start passing them, because it's not just enough that you do well in a couple rounds, you also need to do at least okay in the other rounds too, to make sure that you gain some points, even if it's not a ton of points. But I think we have the scores ready. No, we do not have the scores ready. Hold on. Hold on, some things are getting a little bit mixed up here. We get just 1 second. But yeah, Tom, how do you feel about the result of game 4? How do you feel about this, man?
Man, game 4 was pretty crazy all around. I mean, seeing Tier 98 and Pie Master taking the final square is always something very pleasant, because they've been really having that issue of closing out games the entire time. With Fakula and Fanghua, we kind of just saw Fakula drop early, come back, and then drop again, sadly. Fanghua hitting on Master 13 at the end of that, really being like the weakest person in the lobby at that point, just kind of ratting it out, trying to get, you know, a little rat jammer for his team there, able to just barely squeeze out 2nd place as Free Stratos did drop. I do think it is a super unfortunate game that really was up to Lily Petal and Free Stratos to lose by the end of that, but they face checked what they probably thought was not a very strong Burning Z, but they ran into essentially the god of Zhukais.
Oh my god.
And he just melted them completely with no remorse whatsoever. He said, "You're gonna take my friend, I'm taking your life. Thank you."
I cannot get over that whole situation. Lily Petal and Free Shadows looked incredibly powerful in that final zone, right? Like, they looked like they were gonna potentially take the entire thing. They were one of the only like full teams still alive at that point. We have a solo Shukai, because Gally Gally had already gotten picked off by the beautiful breath of the whip or whatever the heck happened, you know, when they got third partied by Tyr and Pie Master. And I was like, okay, cool. So the Shukai, I mean, he's not out of the game, but he's lost his partner, so he's kind of screwed. Lily Petal and Free Stratos, they check the bush and just they find the Shukai, and he just starts laughing and cooking and doesn't give a damn and just murders. I believe it was Lily Petal that went down, right? Like, in one fell swoop, one combo, Lily Petal goes down. It's an unfortunate position to be in, but like, that's just goes to show the power of a late game Shukai. You cannot underestimate him. You gotta make sure that you're not going to be walking into a bush that has a Shukai, and that's what happened there. Beautifully done by Burning Z in that situation. Like, dude, these players, in the finals, in the whole tournament, they've been bringing amazing games, and this is no, there's no shortage of good plays or good games in these matches. I thoroughly am enjoying everything I've seen tonight. Like, I love it, man. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, this has been going absolutely crazy so far. Like we mentioned earlier, like every single final game has been completely different. No two games have felt like they've played the same here. And, you know, honestly, I feel like I can't say the same for solos. And this is what makes duos such an interesting dynamic mode, becoming a lot of players' fan favorite, to be quite honest. People just absolutely adores the duos format. You have a lot of unique strategies coming down. I mean, you're even seeing, let's give an example here. You're seeing something like Averse and Proster. Averse is probably one of the most, if not the most aggressive players in the region. You know, he was currently rank 1 NA for the solos ladder. And now we're seeing him on Shuriken. He's on the Shuriken CDR build, just playing very passively with his partner Proster. This is not something you see out of him quite a bit. We really do expect to see like that form of aggression because it is a different type of strategy. You definitely go for the like build traps and play very slow. That's kind of what we've been seeing coming up from Reverse and Proster these games. Yep. More of a late game oriented strategy rather than that elemental bow, kill everybody for us, because these players aren't gonna let that happen this time around.
Okay. The scores have been updated for real this time. Because one second, we're going to make sure that our graphics are correct, because we don't want to be feeding you the wrong information. These scores are looking a lot closer to what I was expecting. I saw some pretty confusing things, but we're going to shoot over the scores right now. We have an insane final game. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. But here is what is currently going on. In first place with 72 points is Xiaosei and Nazimi. In second place with 71 points is Gali and Burning Z. And in third place with 71 points, tied for second place, is Piemaster and Tier 98. And in fourth place with 70 points is Tony Evolved and Miyazroy. We're like... we have 4 teams basically tied with each other at the top of the bracket, man. This is insane.
This is gonna be crazy. This is about to be the craziest final game you guys are ever gonna see. Every single decision is going to matter. And those aren't the only ones that have contention to win. In 5th place, we have Averse and Proster at 61 points. To remind you, 1st place is currently sitting at 72. We don't have that much of a difference. There's 11-point difference between 1st and 5th right now. And then from there, the discrepancy does get a little bit bigger, but there is still a possibility. In 6th place, we have Fanghua and Fakula at 52 points. In 7th place, we have Free Strauss and Lily Petal at 39 points. In 8th, Celeste and Homecoming at 30 points. And in 9th place, we have Cure and Michael Uldal at 12 points. Guys, the difference between 1st and 5th right now is so close. It's just a 1-point difference at this point. 1 point. 1 point can decide this final.
I'm losing it, man. Like, it's so absolutely close. I cannot believe that we actually, 1st through 4th, are only 2 points difference between each other. Like, that is, my brain is fried, man. This is not something you see ever in tournament play, to have it be so close at the top of the ladder. Generally, it's like, oh, okay, 3rd, 4th, 5th, like those are close. Like generally it's around the 3rd place spot. That's where players start sort of phasing in and out of prizing, but we have 4 teams tied essentially for 1st. That's insane. That's unbelievable, man. I don't even know how this is going to go. It all comes down to who ends up falling off early game and who ends up carrying it to a big win. This is the final game. This is game 5. Everything comes down to this moment right here. Is it going to be Xiaosei and Nazimi? Is it going to be Gali and Burning Z? Piemaster or Tier 98? Are they going to take it? Could it be Miyazroy or Tony? Or, what we're not even talking about, Averse and Proster in 5th with 61 points. They're just roughly 10 points behind the rest of these teams. They could have an insane game and take it as well. Fanghua and Fakula, they're at 52 points. They're not too far away. Anyone could take it. It's anybody's game. And I'm about to go into complete overload mode, man. Like, my brain is gonna shut down, my heart is gonna fail. There's so much excitement going into this final game, and I'm so pumped, man. I cannot wait.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what these guys are possibly thinking about right now. What their comms could even look like right now, because how do you describe this? You are 1 game away from winning the first ever official tournament, duels tournament for the game you love. You've been practicing out of your mind, and to have, usually at this point, we're like, okay, well, some teams have a potential of making it back. Maybe they have an insane game. No, they don't need an insane game. They just need an okay game. But the difference between an okay game and a good game right now is massive. Thousands of dollars coming out, right? We have a massive prize pool coming out for 1st place, and my God, I can't even imagine what these guys are going through. This is going to be such a tense match. Every single decision is going to matter. Every single red second of timer is going to matter. You make one mistake, You are off the board.
So just to clarify real quick on the pricing, it's actually $1,000 split amongst the top teams. It's not thousands for the top teams. I just want to clarify there. We're not giving out thousands of dollars. Look, as much as I'd like to, we have the events every couple of weeks. We cannot be giving out quite that much money, but it's still a lot of money on the line for all these players as we are ready to get into the final game for the ERCL Duos Finals. Guys, this is it. This is where it all comes down to. Excuse me, we have 4 teams practically tied for first place. It is anybody's game. Who is going to end up taking it? We have I have no idea, man. I really have no idea. If I had to like just be super biased and pick someone who I want to take it just based on their play from the last few games, it's Piemaster and Tier 98. They looked so clean last game. I want to see them do well this game. And also because I duo with Piemaster, so maybe I'm a little biased.
Definitely sounds like a little bias coming up from your part, but we can't deny just how good they've been playing. Bias or not, these guys have been playing out of their mind today, but so has everyone else in that top 5 bracket, and it's just all we could do is wait. We can wait, watch, and commentate out of our minds because the final game is on its way right now, and well, let's see how fast-paced this game is going to be. Is it going to be that everybody's so nervous that that we're just going to see a very slow game? Are we going to see finally the turnaround of Averse and Procer maybe getting that insane pop-off game they've been needing to really just solidify their first place here? We don't know, guys. And are we going to see, oh, the biggest one that's been happening a lot, is Michael Udall and Cure going to drop an Avenue again this game?
Ooh, that is a good question. Will Homecoming and Celeste catch them over there? Ooh, no, they're kind of switching it up. We're seeing Homecoming in Chapel. He started out the first 2 rounds being in Chapel. Maybe he's TPing now? I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, okay, now he's coming over here into Avenue. But then again, Averse is here too. Averse could be the one who gets caught, although if Homecoming paths more to the left, he may not end up catching him. Homecoming hasn't quite finished his weapon either. We have a lot of players over near the hospital TP. If you're trying to get out of here, remember Celeste needs to meet up with his teammate. If you're trying to get out of here and you get caught by Tony or Burning Z or any of these players, even Free Stratos, like that could be really bad. Now it's actually Homecoming, the player who normally is catching Michael and Cure, getting caught instead. Celeste is not there to help, but Homecoming is just dodging bullets like it's the Matrix, man. He did not get hit by anything.
Yeah, single skill shot landed there, had the root landed from Hedge, and Homecoming was kind of as good as dead, I believe. They already have quite a bit of damage. I mean, the spiky bouncy ball from Michael Udall is nothing to scoff at.
Tony getting aggressed on by Fakula and Fanghua. The Suture Thread being thrown out by Mia's Ray. These are 2 of our teams who are very close to making it into the top 3. Tony has no weapon and he's dropping incredibly low, but he is playing Yuki. He dashes into a box. Oh, but he still gets out. Remember, if you're playing Yuki, you can kind of just get away from those things. You gotta have a lot of dashes. So Tony does end up getting away there. Mia's Ray and Tony both struggling to get their items, getting forced out of the zone they wanted to be, and they wanted to be over here in Dock, but it's Fanghua and Fakula. Wait a minute. Are they switching strategy? Wait, did they run Kathy Rozzy last game? I don't think they did. Is this an adaptation?
Kathy Rozzy. Yes, this is a massive adaptation. This Fakula was on, this was a Sylvia Shoichi composition.
That's
now
right.
We're on a Rozzy Kathy Doc composition, which is actually a very huge mix-up because what we just saw, Tony and Mizor are also on a Doc composition. They meet up there and that they farm the zone. Now they're just kind of straggling out and they have to adapt on the fly. That is not the only change up here from our lineup right now, though. There's one more big change up.
What's the other big change up? Am I blanking?
Celeste on our favorite racer, not Magnus, sadly, is on Sylvia this time around.
Celeste was on Sylvia last game too.
Was he not on Aya?
No, he was on Sylvia. They went down pretty early, but they were on Sylvia last game as well. I assure you
missed that completely. I apologize, Celeste.
Trust me. So, like we were just talking about, Tony and Muse, they did sort of get torpedoed in their strategy over here by Fanghua and Fakula. I'm curious, they are coming back into Dock. I'm curious if they think, oh wait, hold that thought. Cure getting killed by Averse and Procer, not able to find it. Man, this has been a rough set of games for Cure and Michael Udall. But Averse and Procer picking up a kill that's putting them a little bit closer to beating out those 4 teams that are all tied right above them in points. Maybe that's the momentum they needed. They were not able to really transition into a full successful late game with their composition in these last few games. Can they actually use the momentum? Can they actually translate into a great final result? That remains to be seen. Michael Udall trying to go for the tree, but Celeste and Homecoming are here. Dude, poor Michael. Like, it's like being haunted by Homecoming and Celeste. He cannot find a moment's reprieve against these two players. Even over here, not in Avenue, it's at the tree, and they still are giving him trouble. Now Free Stratus about to wander right into Celeste and Homecoming. The beautiful combo, dropping Celeste. Oh! Gorgeous snipe by Lily Petal, tags Celeste. Celeste does go down. That is Lily Petal and Free Stratus picking up a kill right here in this fight against Homecoming. Homecoming is trying his best to do what he can with what little he has, and he will go down. That will end the tournament run for Homecoming and Celeste. A nice kill pickup by Lily Petal and Free Stratos. Now over here with Fangwa and Fakula getting chased down by Gali and Burning Z. A beautiful search thread by Fanghua will connect to both players, but it will not be enough. Fangwa and Fakula, who are also so close to making it into that top 3, do drop to Burning Z and Gali, who are 2 of our players who were basically tied for first at the moment.
Yeah, what we're seeing right now, I thought we were going to see a much slower game considering the high-stakes pressure is happening right now. But no, it is actually the opposite. We're seeing the average pacing that's been going on. We're seeing players just going for fights left and right here, taking advantage at any situation they're given. I mean, if you even look at this, Fanghua was sitting on a frag rock while not having a helm piece or really an accessory here. He was actually very considerably strong, but you really do have to try and again deal with the juggernaut that is Jukai, sitting on 2,500 HP here. It's just going to be so hard to break through, even when he had a really nice Sutter landing for him. Now we're looking at Gali, as always. I swear we've seen this every single game uncontested,
by the way,
getting Tree of Life.
So this is
getting a Laurel Wreath.
I'm gonna resume my train of thought from last game. When we saw them take Tree last game, I was like gonna talk about this, but then we got in a fight over in school, so I can finally talk about it. Burning Z and Gali have gotten Forest Tree every single game. Miyazuri and Tony have tried to contest them, but every single time it has been Burning Z and Gali with the home field advantage. They have traps set up. They've got like pendulum axes, double guillotines. Obviously the mock mines coming down from Gali. Like, that is a situation that you cannot push into if you're not there first. And Gali and Burning Z have been very much on top of that tree every single time. Now, we have Tony. We also have Miyazuri potentially getting in a fight against Xiaosei and Nazimi. We are seeing Xiaosei missing quite a few items, but then again, so is Tony and Miyazuri. Well, actually, they're just missing one, but really, that is a significant, downside. If you don't have the squad leader armband upgraded into that Creed of the Night, that is a rough position to be in. You lose that 30 attack power. You lose about 10% crit damage as well as a lot of that defense, all of that defense actually. So maybe you don't want to take that fight necessarily if you don't have your full Creed finish. They're still looking for, I believe, the Iron over here in Cemetery. We have a Verse and Proster, I think, coming through the red over here into Cemetery. Maybe getting chased out by Burning Z and Gali. I'm not 100% sure what happened there, but they're over here on the top left side of Cemetery. Now we have 3 teams over here, and something is about to go down.
It's getting really scary really fast. That Tree of Life isn't even up yet. Set up for another 46 seconds here. But we're going to see a lot of teams trying to contest this. Xiaozhe and Nazimi are kind of just walking out the zone saying, look, we don't really want to be a part of this just yet. Or are they going to come back in? I'm not sure. They're kind of like double pathing here. They don't know exactly where they're going just yet. Okay, it seems they will actually go for this Tree of Life here. So we're potentially going to see an engagement here from a Verse, Proster, Nazimi, and Xiaozhe in just a moment. This is going to be really scary. They are going to put him against the console. It's going to put him in a pretty vulnerable position, but no follow-up just yet. Proster did need to get in the position here, but it looks like a Verse and Proster are just going to walk away as, well, I mean, if we just look at the item difference right now, I definitely would not want to take a fight against Nazimi and Xiaozhe right now. This is a really, really scary composition to be facing.
The funny thing is, though, is that actually Proster and Verse have pretty decent itemization, but hold that thought. No. Oh. Or not. Okay, never mind. Prime Master and Tyr, they were sort of looking like they were going to chase onto Lily Petal and Free Shadows, go through the red to go for those kills, but ended up opting not to. One thing that is super important in this map, especially with the zones that are closing the way they're closing, alley, archery range, and school all being closed means that Lily Petal cannot farm as many animals as freely. These are 3 of the zones that have the highest density of animals for farming, so it's really hard for you to stack up a bunch of stacks on the Nadine if you don't have access to these 3 zones. But that being said, still at 200 stacks, still at 35 farms, so it's not like they're slouching in any sort of way. She's doing a fantastic job stacking up, but it's going to be a little bit harder. Additionally, with Dock closing right now, as soon as, well, I guess a minute and 30 ticks away, we are only going to have 1 foot path between these 2 halves of the zones, and that's right here in between Avenue and Forest. That is the only connector, because keep in mind, over here in Cemetery and Forest. That is not something that is an actual path. Michael Udall getting caught by Tony and Miyazroy. He's our only solo straggler still in the match, and he will end up going down. And it's a kill towards Tony and Miyazroy, and they really desperately needed it, considering they are currently tied for first place. We have Burning Z and Gally Gally over here. Averse and Proster also in the area, all kind of meeting around the teleporter of Uptown, trying to do something, trying to maybe, you know, get those early kills. If you can get the momentum going, that is going to be huge, especially in this final game where everything is on the line.
Yeah, and right now, it's definitely looking in favor of Burning Z and Gally Gally, especially with the kills. But we are going to see the engagement going to Burning Z. The Fear is going to turn away the burn to the crisp here. Averse is still getting burnt incredibly low, though. He's down at 400 HP here, and Gally Gally's on the chase. The Caltrap is going to stop it with a beautiful cocktail party. Proster is gonna take the aggression now and try to save his friend's life. Averse actually walking away. We're gonna see the flamethrower and Yo-Stick combination come down, but Gally Gally is on the chase here. But no, the Rebel Assault Slow isn't gonna connect. But now we're seeing the Pie Master with the out of combat movement speed, with the Rocket's Jacket going down for the chase on Burning Z here. Can he connect the grappling whip here? No, we're seeing the remote mine drop down, and oh my goodness, everybody survived.
I don't think I took a single breath in that fight, but we are about to continue it, whereas Tier 98 and Pie Master are about to find Averse and Proster. We have 4 of our final remaining teams all over here in Uptown. It's turning into an all-out brawl in just a moment here. I thought for sure that Tier 98 and Pie Master were going to catch Burning Z and Gally Gally in that situation. I thought it was going to be a beautiful setup by Averse and Proster to put Burning Z and Gally Gally in a unfortunate position, but no, it looks like they did end up getting out nonetheless. So that was a very wow, that was very tense. That was stressful, man. Like my heart was pounded in that situation. But now, as our teams are leaving Uptown, they're all funneling into Forest, and Xiaosei and Nazimi, Free Stratos and Lily Petal, they're all trying to join this fight as everyone is getting right next to each other in this division between Hotel and Forest.
If you're stressed out, Scaz, I don't know what to tell you, because currently the 3 teams that were eliminated were none of the teams in the current top 4 congestion.
I know.
Even 5th place is still there. So
it's
any
so
of these
crazy.
kills matter so much. What we just saw was the top 3 teams facing each other and not a single one dropped. Had any of them dropped, that would have been such a breath of fresh air, or such a breath of relief for so many of these guys. But no, everyone is still up and they are still kicking. And this could go to anybody. And right now, guys, it's really looking to be in Burning Z and Gally Gally's favor. The only team right now within that top 3 with really any kills to their name. Mizroy and Tony Evolve do have one, and Averse does have one as well. But Burning Z and Gally Gally have 2 kills and potentially looking for another set of kills to their name, pushing Tony and Mizroy out of that Uptown Hyperloop into Forest here, where they might run into our friends Nazimi and Xiaozei, because we know they have cons already. They grabbed it early before they would start these wolves, and we're seeing Nazimi start stacking that promotion. Wants to turn that pawn into a queen here, and we see he is stacked with damage. Cabana, Glacial Shoes to his name. If he is able to get one beautiful queen set up, whoever he lands on is as good as dead.
We have Averse and Proster getting pushed out by Free Strauss and Lily Petal at the top side of Hotel. There's about to be a 3-team clash in Forest. I can't quite keep track of all these things all at once. Keep in mind, Nazimi and Xiaosei, they do have Wick Buff to their names as well, so they are going to be chunking people pretty hard here. Proster and Averse, they go in. Averse throwing down the ultimate. The Omens, all 5 of them are starting to land on Free Strauss and Lily Petal as Miyazroy and Tony are forced into the red to try and TP out. They only have about 7 seconds left. Can he get the TP in time? He does. So Miyazroy should be getting out, but also Gally Gally and Burning Z opting to teleport away as well. Where are they going to go? Are they going to TP into the same zone as another team? They are not going to. And Averse and Proster in all of that situation do end up going down. They were so close, Tom. They were so close to making it into the top 3, to making it into the prizing, and they do end up falling. That is going to be a big win for Lily Petal and Free Stratos.
Yeah, I mean, there's a potential to see a huge shakeup here, but wait, time out there. Hold that thought. Pie Master is currently getting burnt to a crisp. Wait a second. He made a mistake of walking back in. He thought he was dead to the burnt to the crisp. The auto attack from Burning Z alone is going to drop him. Now Tier 98 needs to get out. He is going to drop the striking tiger, I believe, and he's going to dash out of that fight completely. Pie Master is dropped, but his team is still alive. Tier 98 will walk away with his life, but that is going to spell another kill for Gally Gally and Burning Z, who is currently sitting from 1 point away from taking this entire series.
Gally Gally and Burning Z picking up Pie Master there. That is a huge deal. If you get Pie Master down, that's another team that you are sort of contending for that first place spot to try and make that big prize pool. But hey, in Piemaster's situation, I thought he was dead too. I really did. I do not fault him in any way for turning back there, trying to just get a little bit more damage to help out his teammate, but he actually had lived. If he had just walked away there, he would still be alive in this situation. I'm sure Tyr had the ability to get away through the use of that ultimate, through the use of, you know, the multiple dashes available to Lee Dai-Lin. Just the tiniest little things are changed and it's a completely different result. Absolutely insane difference between like just caution and aggression in that case.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think anybody could really fault Piemaster there, but now we're seeing a bit of an issue with Tier 98 here. He wants to take a little trade with Tony, but with Tony comes his partner, Mizroy. Does miss the amputation here, not going to get the grounding effect at all, but what we do know and what Mizroy does is that Tier 98 doesn't actually have Striking Tiger up. We're seeing Mizroy actually path a bit to potentially body block the ultimate while Tony does get some damage off with the head to toe. We're going to see the amputation finally come off, getting the grounding effect, and now there's probably a bit of a question mark coming down from our contenders here, wondering why Tier 98 isn't ulting out. Well, he can't. He doesn't have it up. Mizroy gonna get a beautiful ultimate down with the Cloak and Dagger as well, and Tier 98 will drop. That is the second kill for Tier 98 and Tony. Now, I know these guys do have kills. I know it looks really good for them. But here's the thing. Nazimi, Xiaozhe, throughout all that chaos, got Wickline. This is another team. This is the current first place team. They can turn this around very fast.
Yeah, so Xiaozhe and Nazimi picked up Wick actually a long time ago. Like, they picked it up well before those fights even broke out between Averse and Proster and Freeshouse and Lilypetal. But now we are seeing three teams over here about to converge in this tiny little choke point here. Gali and Burning Z caught between these two teams as Lilypetal is setting up the squirrel traps. Ooh, a nice charge shot from Lilypetal, grabbing Gali. They're doing a lot of damage. Nazimi is trying to murder Gali here. Oh my god! The beautiful coordination from both of these teams, understanding what a vulnerable target is and sniping them out in just the right situation. Burning Z and Gali had a fantastic opportunity of just winning this entire event, but in one fell swoop, their tournament first place dream has potentially been shattered by both Nazimi and Lilypetal. Beautifully done by both of those teams. Now we're seeing the checkmate coming in from Free Stratos. Xiaozhe dropping very low. The Q does not connect by Lilypetal, but the Wolf Assault coming out is dealing a ton of damage to Nazimi. Burning Z is here for the third party. He's not out of the game yet as Gali is crawling into a bush.
Yeah, wait a second. We might potentially see a third party and Burning Z potentially just tank this to get Gali, but no, Gali will drop, and that is going to be the biggest kill of this entire series. That's going to be absolutely huge. Burning Z is going to need a hope to get this out, but we are seeing the fight continue. As Free Stratos goes back in, he does have the Queen online. The Moonspeed bonus is going to go in, but no, he's gonna opt to check the body instead of Gali and potentially get some traps to his name. He knows that whenever you kill Gali, it is a loop pinata of traps. That is going to help him out astronomically with this final zone coming up relatively soon.
Free Stratos and Lilypetal, the beautiful, I believe it was the beautiful Nadine Q coming out of Lilypetal, hitting both Nazimi and Xiaozhe in that situation, and also the long-range knockup by Nazimi. Oh my god. These players are playing out of their minds right now. They understand what's on the line. They understand that this is where it all comes down, that you have to win right here, right now. There is no room to play sloppy. There is no room to not just play your absolute best, because you have to not only win, you got to be getting those kills as well. It is anybody's game right now, but it looks like Free Stratos and Lilypetal, they may have caught Burning Z as he was trying to hide in the bush.
Burning Z trying to make the escape here, gonna drop the spear skill, but right now he's just too low. He got face tank with his escape move. There's not really much you can do. He's gonna actually burn to a crit spear and try to turn the aggression onto Free Stratos, but no, that is gonna be the 6th kill going on the Free Stratos and Lilypetal. Team 6 is absolutely rolling through the lobby here, and that is gonna spell the end for Burning Z and Gali. Did they potentially get enough points here to secure the tournament?
Tony goes for the parry to avoid that big burst coming out of Nazimi, but it's, unfortunately for him, a lot of it still ended up landing, so Tony is rather low at the moment, and parry is not available. Xiaozhe and Nazimi hot on the chase, trying to eliminate some more of their competition. We're down to our final 3 teams. It's Xiaozhe and Nazimi versus Lilypetal and Free Stratos versus Mizroy and Tony Evolved, our previous champion of the ERCL Solos event. Can they potentially come back and get a back-to-back tournament win? That remains to be seen as we are coming into our final zone here. I wouldn't have it any other way, Tom. It's a forest final zone. It's a classic. Tony going in with the engagement onto Nazimi, going for this hard aggression. Keep in mind, we do have Lily Petal and Free Shadows coming in from the bottom, going in for the third party. This could be the final fight of the tournament. Shousei putting down a bunch of claymores, putting down the spacing between him and his opponents, and now it's going to be Miyazuri and Tony caught in an unfortunate position where they have to commit to one team or another. Who's going to end up winning it? A beautiful coup de grace coming out from Tony, does catch on to Shousei. Shousei dropping very low. The beautiful checkmate from Free Shadows, tagging Shousei. Shousei goes down. Tony very low. Miyazuri doing what he can. The wolf assault. Wolf after wolf after wolf is coming out from Lily Petal right now. It's going to be who can potentially come back and win this. Both teams have a player down except for Free Shadows and Lily Petal. It's a matter of who gets the kills here. Lily Petal kills Tony. Nazimi, the last player alive here. Free Stratos going in for the killing blow, and that's gonna be it. First place goes to Free Stratos and Lily Petal. My God, man.
We didn't even make it to the final zone. 3 teams still up. Miyazuri and Tony getting stuck in the worst position possible there. Stuck between 2 teams and being forced to go onto one. You did not have a choice there. They chose their target. Did not work out at the end. Miyazuri tried to do what we could do to clean up there. But the victor of game number 5 with the most kills we saw tonight.
Decisive victory. 9 kills to their team. My God. Beautiful, beautiful performance by Lily Petal and Free Stratos. All... Tom, they did it.
I got nothing.
They did it. That was the perfect engagement. If you're in that situation, you know 2 teams are in a bad position. They're about to fight. You have console vision. There's a camera right there on the road. You see what's happening. That's your opportunity to go in and take it. It was Free Stratos and Lily Petal taking first place in that round with 9 kills. An insane performance by our... I love Lily Petal's Nadine. I love Free Stratos' Adela. The way they play is so uniquely them. There is no one else who is playing this exact composition even slightly similar. It's like the Kiara tank build on Adela, and they're funneling all the farm into the Nadine with the twin bow and the amp. It's just so uniquely, perfectly Lily Petal and Free Stratos. Congratulations to them getting first place in that round with 9 kills. If they don't take the whole thing, I would be amazed. Like, that is 9 kills first place is the best result we've seen in any round so far, and they were already in contention.
Yeah, but I do think we need to point out something here. What you're saying isn't necessarily true. What we saw, Free Stratos and Lily Petal were actually sitting at 7th before.
They were in 7th.
They did not have... Yeah, so this is really scary. They could have potentially had the biggest upset of this tournament. They could have just went from 7th to 1st in a single match. Is it happening, guys?
That is a question that I can answer. I can't believe I was so wrong. Free Stratos and Lily Petal, yeah, like you said, they were in 7th with 39 points leading into this match. That is not the best position to be in, but they had a 9-kill first place, an absolutely insane match. Did that propel them up into first place? Did it? Tom, do you think it did? I know you've seen the scores, but just, do you think it did? I don't know, man.
I think it might have. I think this dude, there's 9 kills. First place. That's a lot of points, man. We know the scoring works. You know you're getting 3 kills. You're doing 3 points per kill. The first place placement is going to help you out quite a bit. That could have potentially propelled you all the way to the top.
But
I feel like it might have.
I have the final results.
What is it?
Let me double check to make sure our scorekeeper has the results prepared, because this is seriously something amazing, guys. All right. Well, before we get into that, let's thank our sponsors. No, I'm just kidding. Let's go right into the scores. In first place, the victor of the ERCL Solos event, as well as the ERCL Duos event, is going to be Miyazuri in first place with 90 points, 1 point beating out the second place team, Miyazuri and Tony, the 2 best players in the ERCL Duos event. I wouldn't have it any other way. Congratulations on your first place placement and back-to-back ERCL victories for Miyazuri, and Tony absolutely brought an insane Yuki performance today. These players are masters at their characters, and they absolutely brought it today. Congratulations to Tony and Miyazuri on first place. In second place, we have Gally and Burning Z. 1 point away at 89 points, second place. Beautiful performance from start to finish. The Shukai play, the ISOL for most of the tournament, but then switching to the wait, no, that was Shao saying this. Just kidding. The Shukai play for the entire tournament plus the ISOL, fantastic synergy between these two players. We saw that insane turnaround in game number 4 by Burning Z against Lily Palo and Free Strauss. Oh my god. Incredible two players, Gali and Burning Z, doing a fantastic job. And in third place, it should be mentioned, of course, Xiaosei and Nazimi. Fantastic performance. The beautiful Adela play, the beautiful ISOL, but then leader Emma play throughout the entire tournament with 86 points. Congratulations as well. And that is it for our top 3. That is it for those who have broken into the prizing bracket. But, Tom, who got 4th?
In 4th place, sadly, they did not actually do the upset that we want. Going from 7th place to 4th place in a single match, 2 points off from breaking into the top 3 is Lily Pell and Free Stratos with the best performance we saw all night in a singular match. Made it into 4th place. In 5th place, we have Pie Master and Tier with the Lennox Dylan combination. We saw it time and time again, doing insanely well with 78 points to their name. In 6th place, Averse and Proster with 72 points. In 7th, Fanghua and Fakula with 54 points. And in 8th place, we have Celeste and Homecoming with 39 points. And in 9th place, Cure and Michael Udall with 15 points.
Oh my god, man.
My god.
I am so happy with how all of those matches played out. I am so thoroughly satisfied with what I got to watch today. Between Miyazure and Tony had such a fantastic early set in this tournament. Like, games 1 and 2 were some of the cleanest Kathy play I've ever seen in my entire life. Some of the best synergy between 2 players in my entire life that I've ever witnessed. Tony, just in the entire tournament, was just so rock solid and consistent. And the synergy between them, the beautiful engagements by both of these players, they felt like a wrecking ball coming towards you. If you ever had Tony or Miyazure charging your way, you probably had that little tinge of oh god, I'm in danger, I am in trouble, I need to get out of here because I'm about to get flattened by these 2 players. And look, they deserved it 100% from start to finish. Congratulations on 1st place. And again, historic result for Miyazure, winning our first ever back-to-back ERCL 1st place. They're coming into tournaments with 162 players. Miyazure is emerging 1st place twice in a row in the only 2 events we've had so far. That is insane, man. That's gonna go in the history books for this game forever. Miyazure has cemented his legacy by getting here and getting 1st place in the first 2 major events of all time for this game. First major open events. I'm so proud of. That is so cool. Congratulations to Miyazure and Tony as well. And Gali and Burning Z. They did so consistent throughout the whole tournament. I legitimately thought they were going to take it. I really did. If they didn't end up falling there in that unfortunate fight at the top side of Forest, they were 1 point off in the end. They could have taken it. They really could have.
Yeah, a single placement point would have decided that. We might have actually seen a potential tiebreaker for 1st place had they actually gotten 1 point just from placement alone. That was that close. Just so you guys understand how close this final game was. Barely inching it out. Mizuru and Tony, congratulations to our victors here. My goodness.
I can't, I genuinely, I'm beaming. I am so happy with the games we got to see. It doesn't matter if you got 3rd, it doesn't matter if you got 8th, it doesn't matter if you got 9th, 6th, whatever. Who cares, man? You got to see, and playing if you were in the match, you got to see the most high level duos play I have maybe ever seen ever in these 5 matches. I am thoroughly satisfied with the games I got to see today. And I cannot wait for the squads event that is going to be happening within the next couple of weeks. The signups for the ERCL squads event is going to be next weekend on the official ERCL Discord. If you're not in it, check it out. Try to get in there. I don't know if we have a command for the link to the Discord right now, but in any case, The link is out there. You can find it. And it's going to be going up on Saturday, 4 p.m. PST over in the ERCL Discord to get the sign up for squads. Keep in mind, these slots are filling up really fast. The duos event, the solos event, they all filled up within a matter of minutes. So if you want to be in that event, you got to be on top of it. Know when the signups are going out because you're going to want to be there right when they do. But that's it, man. We've made it. We've made it through the qualifiers, we made it through the semifinals, and we're here in the finals, and we got to see an insane result. That's it, dude. We're finally at the end of the road for the ERCL duos. Tom, how are you feeling right now, buddy?
Man, I'm feeling absolutely amazing. We had 5 completely different matches. Every single match played out differently. We saw some crazy ideas come off for players. We saw little sneaky strategies. We saw people like just inch out the smallest angle to try and get a little bit of a lead. We saw games end before final zone. We just witnessed that just now. We saw games end in crazy 4-man final zones. We saw ISOs abuse what ISO can do best, which is just trap after trap after trap. We saw everything tonight. If there's a single thing you guys saw we missed, I'm sorry. There's nothing else. That's Eternal Return, guys. What you just saw was peak Eternal Return dual gameplay. And if you liked what you saw in the Souls event, wait till you see the Squads event, guys. It's going to be even better than this. Can't wait for that.
I couldn't be more excited. That's going to be it for us over here at the ERCL. So I would like to sort of send us off with just a quick little thank you. Tom, thank you so much for casting with us this whole time. I wouldn't have it any other way. I love casting with you, man. Would you like to plug yourself, a couple of shout outs, things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for always having me, man. I hope I can be back again for the Squads event. I have a great time with this every single time. For anyone who doesn't know me, hey guys, I'm Tomsorcer. I've been around for quite a while now. You can catch me on Twitch live. I am the early bird guy. I stream pretty early. I also make a ton of YouTube content for beginners under the same name. So if you want to get better at the game, hey, check me out. I can help you guys out a ton.
I can vouch for Tom. He makes fantastic stuff. You should definitely check him out. And I want to give a huge shout out to everybody over here at the ERCL. Especially Alteris over here on my left, who's been doing fantastic work behind the scenes, the whole like stream production, everything that is handled while I'm doing this. I can't necessarily be doing it without Alteris. Alteris has been doing a fantastic job. So big shout out to Alteris. I really appreciate it. You're doing a wonderful job. Also, huge shout out to all of our tournament moderators. We couldn't be doing it without you guys. Thank you so much for making sure everything goes so smoothly, handling all disputes, player management, all that stuff during all of this. You guys are the best. I love you all very much. Also, I want to give a huge shout out to everybody who's watching right now for supporting Eternal Return esports and competitive play with this game. You guys are wonderful. I love seeing the energy. I always have people coming into my chat saying things like, hey, we really love the competitive stuff. We really love all the tournaments. So I really love that energy. So keep it going. Keep that fire burning. The fact that our signups are filling up in just like a matter of minutes means that the passion is there, and I love that passion. So thank you guys all very much. But that's gonna be it for us. We're done here. That's it. ERCL duos. Put a little stamp on it. It's concluded. Congratulations to our first place team, Tony and Mia's-Ray. You guys did a fantastic job. But that's gonna be it for us here at the ERCL. I will see you guys next time. Thank you all for joining.